South Nashville, TDOT reporting a crash, left lane block 24 eastbound at Murfreesboro Pike. Over in the Arts District, Metro Police say Church Street at Representative John Lewis Way got a crash. Near Belmont, police say there's a crash 65 northbound after Wedgwood. Then on the west end, 21st Avenue South at Woodlawn Drive. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hello, kids. Welcome in. It is the Matt Murphy Radio Show underway for another day. Happy to have you with us on a beautiful Friday, May 23rd, 2025. I hope it is gorgeous wherever you might be, whether you're listening all across the great state of Tennessee. Perhaps you're in the metro Nashville area. Maybe you're down where I'm at in Winchester, Tennessee. More on that in just a moment. Or you're streaming this information somewhere across the United States of America or across the globe. We thank you for being a part of the show today. And if you give us 4 hours, we'll try to educate, inform, and most importantly, entertain you over the course of that 4 hours. It's episode 816 of our gatherings together, and it's day 124 of 1,460.5 of the second term of the Donald Trump administration, much to the chagrin of so many liberals across these great United States of America. And we'll start with some conversation on Washington, D.C. and the goings-on there as we get things underway in just a moment. But before we do that, we initiate the pleasantries of the radio show by welcoming in our good friend, our news correspondent, the guy that understands what news is and isn't. That man is Ken Weaver. He is stuck in News Closet B while I'm looking at a Chamber of Commerce day at Twin Creeks Marina on Thames Ford Lake. His name is Ken Weaver. Hello, Ken.
How come Chris and I aren't allowed to go down there with you?
Yeah, I think you're allowed. I think that's perfectly allowable. You just got to work something out with old New Suit.
I don't have to do that, Brother Chris.
One day.
I don't understand why you can't come out here and do the news from out here. Here's the news from Thames Ford Lake. It's gorgeous, and the folks are out and about, and the fish are biting.
Here's the news from Thames Ford Lake. I'm Ken Weaver, and I'm shirtless. I have 3 lines in, and I'm going to catch me some big old catfish.
So I thought of you a minute. There's Chris Webber's here, too.
I'm here.
Not shirtless, it's my understanding.
No.
Yeah, well, that's good news for everybody, for the both of you. Although we do see some shirtless folk, I'll give you that.
Heck yeah, you're down there at the lake.
Well, yeah, they're out and about. I mean, why not? There's a matter of fact, I thought of you, Weaver. There's a one of the docks. I don't normally get to Twin Creeks Marina this way. I don't normally get to the dock where Drafts and Watercrafts is the way that I went today.
Yeah.
But I went down a different dock, and the one dock that I went to, it was called the No Shirt Dock.
All right.
And I thought, well, this is where Ken Weaver needs to broadcast the news from.
Yes, sir. Were people out there wrestling?
I did not see any active wrestling, but they looked like it might just happen at any second.
Right.
At any moment. They might break out in some shirtless wrestling.
Those good people.
These are good folks down here, man. We're going to have a great time. Heck, it's such a beautiful day. I hope Bob stops by. Maybe Bob will come by. I'll give him a goomie. I can't promise that.
Big old goomies again.
Don't get mad at me, Bob, when you come by and I don't have a goomie. If y'all don't know who Bob is, y'all have not been listening to the radio show long enough. Last summer, we had a lovely encounter with a fellow by the name of Bob who got a little frustrated with me talking badly about the FBI. But maybe more on that later. I don't know. Yeah, Bob, come on by. We'll mend fences on this Memorial Day weekend. How about that? Ken, I hesitate to ask you this because, we actually, for the first time, Jeff, who's the great owner of Twin Creeks, and Scotty, who's the fabulous owner of Drafts and Watercrafts, they've been after me to stay the weekend for a long time, and I finally settled to a cabin tonight.
All right.
So I got a cabin tonight, and I'm very excited about that, but I'm a little nervous just a wee nervous, not just for myself, but for all of Middle Tennessee. There are so many folks, whether it's Percy Priest or Old Hickory or down here in Timms Ford, they're out and about, they're on the lake, they're having a good time. People want to be out of doors on Memorial Day weekend, the unofficial start of summer. Ken Weaver, give them the good news about what the weather's going to do this weekend.
Why are you putting this on me, man?
Ken told me right before the show in the pre-show meeting. Y'all know the pre-show. Hey, by the way, Chris, this is for Ken throwing us under the bus yesterday with the new
I was getting ready to say.
Nice.
Hey, y'all, Ken's got some good news for you on the weather. 70% to 90% chance of showers.
Man, oh, man.
It's going to get wet. But no severe weather expected.
Well, that's good because for a hot minute we were worried about Sunday afternoon, weren't we?
Yeah, I mean, that's still a level 1 out of 5.
Yeah.
But really
we'll
the main threat with that one is lightning.
Yeah. Okay.
Lightning and heavy rain.
That can cause you trouble if you're on the water.
Well, yes, sir, it can.
Well, but hopefully everybody will get the festivities in. And listen, if you're already wet in the water, in the pool, what do you care if it sprinkles a little?
That's right.
Yeah?
Oh, it's raining. We got to get out.
It's raining. We got to get out of the water.
You ever seen that happen?
Yes.
You're like swimming, and it's not lightning or anything, but everybody's swimming. It starts raining. Everybody scrambles to get out of the water.
Did y'all, Chris, did you or Ken have the parents that had the eating rule about water?
Oh, 30 minutes?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, oh, yeah, I heard that my whole life.
I seem to recall that.
Yeah.
I mean, oh, man, it was hard and fast in the Murphy household. My grandparents, the Wilson clan, Pa and Ma, boy, oh, boy, it was as if you would explode if you touched water.
Oh, yeah. It was life and death.
Yeah. It was absolutely life and death. If you went into the water, something was going to happen. You were going to cramp up, sink right to the bottom.
Yeah, cramp up. That's what it was.
Yep.
Well, all I can tell you is eat if you got it and swim if you want to, and don't worry about the rain. It'll be a great weekend besides. And we got a great radio show. At least we hope that it will be a great radio show for you today. Lots of news going on. Man, oh, man, I don't have to tell Weaver. I mean, there's a lot of things going on for the entirety of the week, and today is no exception. I was so busy yesterday, I really did not get into the meat and potatoes of the big, beautiful bill. And I know at the beginning of the show yesterday, I said, I don't believe that there's a lot of reason to do this because it's going to change so much when it gets over to the Senate. But there were several of you that wanted to know, well, what's the procedure now? What do we do now? The House passed it, so what happens now? Well, the Senate slows everything down and waits till the 4th of July to do anything is the short version of it. But I'll give you the slightly longer version of it coming up in the next several minutes on the show. We will discuss that today. Of course, it being Friday, we have to have a great edition of Fry J. That is planned at 4:05 this afternoon. Jay St. Clair will be with us answering some of your legal questions. Jay will speak to the matter of Harvard University. Now, something tells me, and I've not had any in-depth conversation with Jay about this. As a matter of fact, outside of an occasional joke, I don't know that we've ever spoken on this in the 20-plus years that I've known him. But Jay St. Clair graduated from law school from Yale. And I have a tendency to believe that Jay does not really have that much love for Harvard University. That notwithstanding, we will get his official legal analysis of what's going on at Harvard. You might have heard by now that the Department of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, announced that Harvard University was losing its ability to import students from foreign countries. They're just going to take that away. The Department of Homeland Security announced that they would be eliminating the student visa program. This announcement happened yesterday, by the way. We talked about it. At Harvard, due to the school's, quote, pro-terrorist conduct at campus protests. According to a report from Fox News, the DHS will eliminate the program as a, quote, consequence for the school's refusal to comply with requests for behavioral records of student visa holders, in addition to the school's lack of effort in combating anti-Semitism on campus. This administration is holding Harvard accountable for fostering violence, anti-Semitism, and coordinating with the Chinese Communist Party on its campus, said Kristi Noem, the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security. It is a privilege, not a right, for universities to enroll foreign students and benefit from their higher tuition payments to help pad their multi-billion-dollar endowments. Harvard had plenty of opportunity to do the right thing. It refused. They have lost their student and exchange visitor program certification as a result of their failure to adhere to the law. Now, obviously, immediately, Harvard being Harvard, the lawyers being the lawyers, they filed an injunction on all of this, and a judge, no doubt a liberal judge, but whatever, a judge has issued said injunction, putting it on hold whether or not the Trump administration can move forward. But you know what I say to that? What else is new? That's what they do, right? That's all they've got. They run to these liberal judges that have been put in place not to follow the law, but to circumvent and oftentimes trip over themselves to attempt to figure out a way to not follow the law. And that seems to be more of what they're doing now. And we see evidence of this over and over and over again during the Trump administration, during his first 124 days. Donald Trump signs an executive order. Donald Trump actually cracks down on certain aspects of policy within the executive branch, such as border security, immigration, and the like. And all you get are lawsuits after lawsuits after lawsuits. If I didn't know any better, considering the 4 years that Trump wasn't in office and the 4 separate lawsuits that they filed against him, attempting him to never be able to run again and fulfill the will of the American people again, if I didn't know any better, considering the hundreds of lawsuits that have been filed against Donald Trump and his administration in his first 124 days, I think that's all they had. It's almost as if, he says sarcastically, the Democrats cannot win in the arena of ideas. It is almost as if, he says sarcastically, the Democrats can't look at the people and make the case, make the argument for their position on any given issue. They have to run to the courts, find a liberal activist judge, a do-gooder judge like this Hannah Dugan, more on her in a moment, to do their bidding for them. Oh, no, that's against the law because of this thing or that thing. And all their purpose is to quag things up in the court systems, trying to delay. And what are they delaying? They're delaying the will of the American people. That's what they're delaying. They don't believe in democracy any more than I'm going to throw Kirby into the water in a minute. Oh, wait a minute. I was thinking about that one. I don't think I could get him in there, guys. I think you'd fight me off too good.
He's wiry.
Well, let me tell you. Curb is he's stronger than he looks. I'll give him that. He looks like he's about $125, but he's stronger than that. Anyway, so Harvard is fighting back, as you might expect, but Harvard is getting everything that they deserve. So that will be covered fully during the Friday segment of the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk. Our only other guests today, I promise you I will not forget nincompoops in the news today. Did I only forget it once this week, guys? Once?
I think twice.
Twice.
Well, no, hold on a second. Both of you two just hold on. Hold your high horses. One of them, I get a pass on the weather. I get a pass on the weather day. Yeah. That was, what was that, Monday?
That's Tuesday.
That was Tuesday. I get a pass on Tuesday. And anyway, that's only 40%. That means I'm batting 600. Come on, guys. That's pretty good. I'm in the Hall of Fame. In all seriousness, I shall remember, and I got a good one today, fellows. I've already found, unlike most days when I find my nincompoop at about 5:15, I found my nincompoop this morning. Wow. And I'm so excited, but I'm excited. I'm a little nervous that somebody else is going to have it. So we'll find out together at 5:35 this afternoon. Plus,
we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm worried. I'm worried as can be. You know what? I feel like I should just let y'all two go first, and then just let the chips fall where they may. Because I actually kind of long for the day that when we have we ever done an nincompoops where two of us had the same story? I don't think we have.
I think someone did one that I had.
Yeah,
but
I did one that Chris had.
But you did it a different day.
Different day, yeah. I think we've matched them up, but I wasn't going to, or either I wasn't going to use that one that day, or I pulled a different one or something. Oh,
yeah.
That. Yeah.
Well, one way or the other, we'll see as Nincompoops comes up at about 5:35 this afternoon. And it is the Friday before Memorial Day. You guys might know or expect as many of you are, the staff at Super Talk 99.7 WTN, we are off for Memorial Day. You have to hesitate. I don't know if anybody else is like this. I've been doing talk radio for 25 years, and I have to stop myself from saying celebrating Memorial Day. I don't know why that word comes before holidays a lot. We're celebrating Christmas. We're celebrating the 4th of July. We're celebrating Easter. He is risen. You don't celebrate Memorial Day. Now, we celebrate what we get because of Memorial Day. You celebrate the benefits of why we remember those that we remember on Memorial Day, because there's a reason that we can enjoy this unofficial start of summer. And I say the reason that men and women fight and die and sacrifice their very lives for the blessings of liberty and freedom in the United States of America is worth celebrating. So you don't, quote, celebrate Memorial Day, but you celebrate this country. You celebrate this nation. You celebrate everything that it represents, and you celebrate the soldiers that defend our way of life, and we celebrate the lives of those who gave the ultimate sacrifice. Coming up in the 5 o'clock hour, I have this discussion every year on Memorial Day, and I'm going to do it again this year. We'll talk about Arlington National Cemetery, and I'll tell you the story of the waiting girl at Arlington National Cemetery, and I hope that you're able to join us for that. So lots to get into. Your telephone calls always on Fridays, as it is a First Amendment Freestyle Friday. Is that enough for you? 615-737-9986. 615-737-9986, either via phone or text to Just Getting Underway from Twin Creeks Marina. We're at Timms Ford Lake. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You know, when it comes to summertime, the AC's running, right? It's running more and more and more and more. Now, maybe not so much today. It's only about 73 degrees, but before you know it, it's up in the 80s and even the 90s, and it just gets hotter from there. The summertime in Tennessee is hardest on your cooling system. If anything's going to break down or go wrong, it's going to happen this time of year. Well, that's why summer maintenance is so important on your AC unit. Catch those issues before they happen and catch them with efficient heating and cooling. Jeff Eddy and his team can certainly help. Get your maintenance guarantee when you get your maintenance done. Maintenance will always cost you less than $125. That's their promise to you on a residential unit. No matter how many units you have, it is oftentimes even much less than that. But the maintenance guarantee goes this way. If you have maintenance done on your AC, if it goes out for any reason in July or August this summer season, they'll come out and they'll waive the service fee to do so. They'll waive the service fee to come out and figure out what's going on with that AC unit. As always, keep them in mind when it's time to make that replacement happen, because there's a life cycle to your unit. They're an Elite Pro partner with Rheem. Give them a call today at 615-784-4424, 784-4424, or efficienthvac.net.
Railroad crossing shut down in Murfreesboro after someone was hit by a train. A group of burglars targeting homes in Brentwood had a knife attack at a busy train station in Europe, and a Grammy awarded artist, diagnosed with a brain disorder, has to cancel all upcoming shows. These stories and more at 3:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm not going to ruin Ken Weaver's tease like some hosts do.
Thanks, Brother Murphy.
You're welcome, Ken Weaver. I'm not going to tell you who that recording artist is, but I will say this. You need to listen up to this report. I take notice on brain-related matters, not because I have one, but because my mother had a brain tumor. And I don't know, it has created in me just a natural I'm naturally drawn to those conversations and drawn to investigating that type of thing. And so I did a little bit of a dive this morning on that particular recording artist, or I guess it wasn't even morning. I guess it was noon that I found out about it.
It's right around there.
Yeah, right around lunch. And that's very interesting. Very interesting and sad if we're never able to hear them again.
Good use
live.
of pronoun there, Brother Murphy.
See, I'm trying to protect you there, Weaver. I'm doing my best and not to give it up.
Thank you, sir.
I mean, look, you're no stranger
to the rain.
I mean, look. I don't live in a glass house, and you're no stranger, and so I'm going to do my best to protect. I mean, look. I mean, the person. They've lived a nice life.
Yeah.
I mean, only the good die young.
Yes. Yeah.
He's only human. He
is going to make a full recovery, they say. So,
that's
so
good.
we can do this. We can do this.
That's good. I'll shut up. I'm just going to shut up now. House Republicans passed their sweeping big, beautiful bill yesterday morning. The bill passed 215 to 214, and we're going to discuss exactly what it did and did not have in it and what you can expect when it goes over to the Senate coming up in just a couple of minutes. A quick word on this tragedy out of Washington, D.C., and how it relates to what is happening at Harvard Law School, at Harvard, generally speaking, and at many liberal college campuses around the United States of America. Because, frankly, if these situations were altered ever so slightly, I guarantee you, I promise you, I bet you every dollar in my bank account, which isn't as much as some people think, but it's more than, I'm willing to give up, that the mainstream media would be on this story like a dog on a bone 24/7. The story being, a man has been charged with the murder of 2 young Israeli embassy staffers who were gunned down outside of the Capitol Jewish Museum in Washington, D.C. Wednesday night. We talked about it at length yesterday. Elias Rodriguez, 30 years of age, has been charged in this crime. If you take away his background and replace it with he was a member of the Proud Boys, or he was a member of some other media-designated, quote-unquote, right-wing organization, all they would be talking about is the growing right-wing anti-Semitism in America. But because it's left-wing anti-Semitism, they don't talk about it. And we all ought to be, A, ashamed of ourselves for allowing it to get to this point, but B, demanding more of the mainstream press. We'll discuss coming up in just a moment. That's after the newscast. Plus, we have 2 local guests on. Oddly enough, I'm not in studio, and they are in studio. Kimberly Calcote and Robin Baldry, and I hope I'm pronouncing Robin's last name correctly, from Williamson County are going to update us on a little bit of a brouhaha that's going on in Williamson County politics that's got a lot of folks talking. We'll do that after the news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. A railroad crossing is closed in Murfreesboro until further notice. It's where someone was hit by a train earlier today. It's the crossing at Main and Overall Streets. No word on how that person's doing or how they wound up on the tracks, but police cannot say when that will be reopened. Police say burglars are targeting homes in Brentwood. Security cameras caught a group of masked people on the walking trail behind the Witherspoon neighborhood Monday night. Police say a few hours later, a family arrived home to learn they had been robbed. Neighbors telling Channel 4 now they're installing alarms and cameras.
It scared me to see the picture of those people. You couldn't tell who they were, and it makes me fear that the police are not going to be able to find them.
Yeah, police increasing controls in that Witherspoon area as well. In Germany, 12 people injured in a knife attack at a railway station in Hamburg. 3 people have life-threatening injuries, 3 others with critical injuries. Police say a suspect has been arrested, a 39-year-old woman. Entertainment news. Billy Joel canceling all scheduled concerts after announcing in an online post today he's dealing with a brain disorder called normal pressure hydrocephalus, saying recent concerts have made it even worse with his hearing, vision, and balance. That condition is when excess fluid accumulates in the brain. He'll undergo physical therapy, and he's expected to make a full recovery. And the White House raising concerns about chronic illness in children, releasing a new report blaming ultra-processed foods, chemicals in the environment, sedentary behavior, and an over-reliance on digital devices. Also suggests childhood vaccines need to be studied further. FDA Commissioner Dr. Marty Makary speaking with ABC News.
The NIH will be prioritizing funding to look at many of these root causes.
Yeah, the Make America Healthy Again report claims more than 40% of children in the U.S. have at least one chronic disease. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Good news in South Nashville. Traffic is still slow, but the crash has been cleared. 24 eastbound at Murfreesboro Pike. Then we've got pretty slow going if you're Lebanon Pike just west of Old Hickory Boulevard, because in Hermitage, police say there's a crash there. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, folks, it's Matt Murphy for Eurofix. You know, Eurofix has a very different business philosophy. Aaron Stokes has been around for a long time now, and he is the one-stop shop for all things European auto repair. He believes, as Aaron has always said, that they're never going to be too busy for their customers. What does that mean? Well, sadly, a lot of these European auto repair companies and others, they tell you, yeah, bring it on in, and then they start telling you it's going to be 2 weeks, it's going to be 3 weeks, it's going to be this amount of time. Never the case with Eurofix. They staff all of their locations with more folks than the average auto repair shop, and frankly, more folks than they need, just so they're ready when an emergency does, in fact, pop up. Have you ever noticed how hard it can be to get a right-now appointment for vehicle repair at your auto shop? Some dealers can be more than 2 weeks out. Not at Eurofix. They've been offering quality repair that beat dealer pricing without dealer pricing since 1999. Plus a 3-year nationwide warranty, and the staff to fix your car right now, not tomorrow, not next week, but right now. If you're tired of waiting forever, call Aaron Stokes in Eurofix. Family owned for 26 years. 844-EUROFIX, 844-EUROFIX, or go to MyEurofix.com. Tell them Matt Murphy sent you to MyEurofix.com. Hello, friends. Matt Murphy and the Matt Murphy Radio Show. We are on location at Twin Creeks Marina at beautiful Timms Ford Lake. Thank you so much for spending some time with us on the radio, 99.7 FM. Maybe you're listening on a streaming application like Spotify, TuneIn, iHeart, our own app. You can download our app, SuperTalk 99.7 WTN, and take us wherever you go. Perhaps you're watching on Talk TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. We thank you for listening, for watching, for giving us a little bit of your time. It is a Friday before Memorial Day, so we've lots going on, but we don't lose sight of local issues that are of importance to all of you. And with that in mind, we have welcomed two guests. It's an odd occurrence that I'm not in studio and our guests are in studio, but I appreciate Kimberly Calcote and Robin Baldry for stopping by to talk to us a little bit about Williamson County politics. Ladies, thank you for being in studio with us. I'm sorry that I'm not there in person, but I appreciate you being there.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you,
Robin, am I pronouncing your last name correctly?
You are. It's perfect. Thank you.
Okay, great. Well, Robin, you and Kimberly, and I'll let you guys speak a little more to this. Y'all have been involved with Williamson County politics far longer than I've been a proud Tennessean. I came in 2021, but Kimberly, I know that you've been a member of the Republican Women of Williamson County for a long, long time. And Robin, I know that you've been involved in Williamson County politics specifically, Tennessee politics more broadly for a long, long time. And so I appreciate you being able to shed a little light on the subject of where you guys are in Williamson County. And I don't know who wants to take it first, Kimberly or Robin. You guys can pick, but kind of catch us up to Williamson County, and because we've heard a lot about what's been going on there regarding the county party and, you know, where they're trying to go, what the party's trying to do. There was a lot of rumors about the party wanting to go to a caucus, which I think is an antiquated way of doing business. Just give us a recap of what all's been going on in Williamson County.
So in Williamson County, we've had, unfortunately, a big fracture in the Republican Party due to people coming in from outside of Williamson County telling us that we don't really know how to do things as conservatives. They've truly fractured the party to the point where it's almost two sects of the party. And we have plenty of people who have worked diligently for decades to help turn the state and the county red. And we are wanting to, the Williamson County Conservatives and both Robin and myself, we're working hard to make sure that we keep Williamson County red. We continue to support our Republican elected officials, and we make sure that we grow the party, which is what we should be doing.
And to piggyback off what Kimberly said, I moved here in 2001, and we had a Democratic governor. So we've come a long ways in almost 24 years since I've been here, and it is off the backs of the hardworking people of the state of Tennessee and Williamson County specifically.
You know, it occurs to me, ladies, that I've never gotten into the fight involving the word rhino. But I don't define myself as a conservative because I think it would be dishonest to do so. I am more of a libertarian, but I lean on a lot of my conservative friends to pass legislation that all of us agree on, and I've watched that happen in the state of Tennessee. And I look at Williamson County and I see one of I understand that there's a lot of influx of new thoughts and new ideas coming into the county, but I see a county that has remained red since I've been here, and I don't see any danger of that being shaken up. Am I wrong in my assessment of what I see in Williamson County?
I don't think you're wrong at all. So we've worked really, really hard to keep it red. And like I said before, on the backs of a lot of people for decades, and I'm very proud to be a part of that group as well. So that's what's so surprising about the new people at the Williamson County Republican Party trying to change things up. I'm all about new ideas. I'm all about new things coming in. Absolutely, I really am. But I don't understand how now everything is wrong. They all moved here for all the reasons why we love this county. And now all of a sudden it seems like it's just wrong. So I'm very perplexed in that.
And to expand on that, I think what we have to remember is that unfortunately our current party continues to throw around the word rhino, which you mentioned. And it's for things that are, it's publicly shaming true conservatives that have worked really hard to push this county towards a solid red majority and even the state to a solid red majority. And I think it's important that we continue to work towards that. And unfortunately, with the fracture in the party, we're focusing more on infighting and fighting each other instead of fighting our we should be unified against the enemy, which is the Democratic Party and their ideals.
Well, there's this belief, and for those who don't know, when the Williamson County Republican Party came together to elect a new leadership, there were some that were suggesting that there needed to be a move to a caucus system, although the same people that were behind the scenes really pushing for that seemed to not want to say the word publicly. And I heard a lot of that going on, and I'm sure, Robert and Kimberly, you did as well. But they were actively pushing for that, and it felt like they were doing so for their own reasons, that they wanted to somehow circumvent the primary process. Well, and I know there were a lot of concerns about the way that the Williamson County Republican Party voted for its executive leadership. That said, the leadership was voted on, and things have kind of settled down. But now it's odd that the same people that were pointing fingers and accusing others of not being Republican enough are inviting Democrats to party events. Is that, and that's kind of the reason that I wanted to talk to you guys, because it's my understanding that just happened, right?
Right. It happened last night. I too was very, very surprised about that. Absolutely surprised about that. I'm a lifelong Republican. My parents were Republicans. My grandparents were Republicans, and so on. And I myself have been accused of not being Republican enough, and I have no idea why they say that, or what their definition of is of how much is, or if you're not too Republican. But I was very surprised last night that they had a Democrat speaking at their mix and mingle. Absolutely.
I had somebody call me today, and several people actually. I was fielding multiple phone calls regarding the people that were appalled that they had a Democrat speaker, because they almost felt like the party was lying to their membership about what the message is. They also worried, one of the platforms of the party is to grow the party. Like Trump, we want to have a big tent. And by having Democrats come and be your primary speaker, they're worried about minimizing the party or losing membership because of that. Here the truth is that we do believe in a big tent for the Republican Party. We believe, in a Republican Party platform. We believe in low taxes. We believe in school choice. We believe in pro-life, and we want to make sure that those are the fundamental aspects of what is a Republican. But all of that to say, we're not the person who gets to decide with a litmus test on if you're Republican enough. Mm-hmm. That's not our job. Our job is to have a big tent and to fight in the arena of ideas to win these people over, not decide with some litmus test if they're conservative enough, Republican enough, or even Christian enough, which unfortunately we've been called that we're not even that.
I refer to these folks, and not just in Williamson County, but around the state, when they decide that they get to decide what a conservative is, that they get to decide what is Republican enough and what is not. And these are the ones that throw around the word rhino. And frankly, I've met Steve Hickey, who is the chairman of the Williamson County Republican Party. He seems nice enough. This is not personal, but based on what he does outwardly, as the chair of the Williamson County Republican Party, I would put him in this category, that he is regularly judging people based on what he considers to be not conservative enough or rhino in nature. Well, he's the chair of the Williamson County Republican Party, and they just invited a woman by the name of Grace Stranch. This was last night. This is the person that you speak of. Tell me a little bit about Grace Stranch and why you think she does not necessarily represent the values of Williamson County.
Well, of course, what we researched and found out about this speaker is that she is very much a pro-abortion activist. She also used to be in field operations for the Tennessee Democratic Party. She's been on panels for the Tennessee Young Democrats. She's also on the diversity committee for the Nashville Bar Association and the Tennessee Bar Association. We know President Trump and even Senator Jack Johnson in our state has worked vigorously to eliminate DEI in hiring and promotion practices. You know, we believe in meritocracy, not diversity as a practice. And simply put, they promoted and hosted a speaker that goes against the Republican Party platform.
Now, and to be clear, Matt, this isn't a personal attack on their speaker, in my opinion. And this actually isn't a hit on Democrats. It's about the choice made by the Republican Party that claims to be conservative, then turns around and gives the microphone to someone who is clearly not.
Well, right. I mean, and to make clear, for those outside of the county and you don't understand the inner workings, and maybe this isn't happening in your neck of the woods, we see it happening statewide because I see the same people that are wagging their finger at some of you in Williamson County wag their finger at Governor Lee. They are not in elected positions, but they say, oh, Governor Lee's not conservative enough on this or that issue, or any number of other Republican lawmakers or leaders. I understand disagreeing on issues. I understand having disagreements within the party on particular matters, but to create these inter-party fights is non-productive. And the same people that are creating the fights within the Republican Party in Williamson County are inviting lifelong Democrats to speak at their party functions. So it seems to me that you want to look at them, at least I do, and say, "Doctor, heal thyself." You know, before you complain about the biblical passage about before you complain about the splinter and in my eye, take the piece of wood out of yours.
Correct.
Absolutely. I mean, at this point, they have screamed for months about crossover voting and wanting to ban that. Even that was what instigated the passing of Senate Bill 799 and giving us primaries so that we can make sure that all voices are heard. But they said that it was so important to have caucuses because we were supposed to eliminate crossover voting. But here they're the ones crossing over with their platform and promoting a Democratic speaker. And, you know, really, the job of the Republican Party is pretty simple. It's to promote the Republican Party platform. It's to grow the party, and it's to continue to support and elect our elected officials.
And just to be clear, I don't know this person, Kathleen Grace Stranch, but you know, based on her record, based on what I could look up, she's a lifelong Democrat. She's a pro-choice Democrat. She is pro-union, pro-abortion, anti-gun, and anti-Trump, and has voted in or given to the Democrat Party, really, it seems, since 2004. So, I mean, this wasn't a hard lift for me to do background research, so I'm a little flummoxed. Do you guys, I know I'm probably asking the wrong people, Kimberly and Robin, but, I mean, do you guys have any idea why the Williamson County Republican Party would think that she would be a good fit to present herself before the Republicans in the county?
That's a great question, and I actually don't know. I was just as surprised as you seem to be. I think we're all very, very surprised that they had asked her to speak.
I mean, at our event last night, we had a great panel of Republican leaders in our community, and you know, we really feel like that's the kind of demonstration of what Republican values and support of our elected officials should look like. We're kind of flummoxed ourselves on why they would, you know, choose to pick a Democrat to present when we have wonderful Republicans in our community that could do a dynamite job.
Absolutely. At our event last night, we had 2 county commissioners, 2 school board members, 2 newly elected mayors in the municipalities in Williamson County. Although those are nonpartisan, they are bona fide Republicans. And we had a commissioner out of Fairview, and it was a great panel, great questions. It's all about talking about local government, and I think that's what the people of Williamson County want to know.
Well, I mean, you know what? My door is always open to Steve Hickey or anybody else as on the Williamson County Republican Party Executive Committee if they want to come on the show and explain the rationale behind inviting a lifelong Democrat to be a speaker in the Williamson County Republican Party, especially considering that they just finished wagging their fingers at all of us, telling us that there were Democrats trying to infiltrate the Republican Party in Williamson County. Mm-hmm. It doesn't make a lot of sense that on the heels of doing that, they would invite Democrats to infiltrate the Republican Party in Williamson County. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
We agree. I mean, we're really not sure why they would think that was a good idea. I mean, they do tend to take some progressive positions on things, so I guess we'll just have to see if they give you a response.
Well, let's hope that they do. I mean, it's an interesting breaking news story out of Williamson County, a little bit of a microcosm as to what goes on all across the state of Tennessee any given week, any given month regarding party politics. Kimberly, Robin, thank you guys so much for spending a little bit of your Friday with us. I appreciate the incredible conversation.
Thank you so much for having us, and we hope you enjoy the lake.
Yeah, thank you, Matt.
I will. I wish you guys were here. That's Robin Baldry and Kimberly Calcote joining us from our studios. I'm at Twin Creeks Marina, and we'll be back in just a moment on Super Talk. Hey, what's up, guys? Matt Murphy for Genesis Diamonds. So it's a reality that there's a little bit of fluctuation in the diamond market as a result of some of what Donald Trump's trying to accomplish on the tariff side of things. Now, that's no big deal, especially if you're a Genesis Diamonds customer. I say that because with Genesis Diamonds, they have the inventory to be able to absorb any fluctuations, short-term fluctuations that might be going on. So if you have a special occasion coming in the next couple of months or 6 months and you need to get that special something, get into Genesis right now because they have so much inventory, all of it pre-tariffed inventory. They don't have to worry about those fluctuations. They have that stock merchandise, and it's an incredible value right now. They always have the best value in town. Don't forget, Genesis is the exclusive retailer for all of the top named in bridal jewelry. The brands other stores only wish they could get. Genesis Diamonds is always going to be the value leader in this community in selection, in quality, and in outrageously good customer service. So when it's time for that anniversary, birthday, or special because, let's go to Green Hills and Cool Springs and tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Genesis Diamonds.
4 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Right now in Middle Tennessee, a railroad crossing is closed in Murfreesboro because someone was hit by a train today. It's the main and overall streets crossing and will be closed until further notice. No word on how that person's doing or why they were on the tracks. Channel 4's Lydia Fielder with a new development, possibly connecting the Antioch High School shooting to a cult leader.
Today, new documents show the Antioch school shooter was inspired by an accused neo-Nazi cult leader. The group's leader has been charged and is tied to allegedly soliciting violent crimes across the U.S. The U.S. Attorney's Office believes the 17-year-old shooter was inspired by a group known as Maniac Murder Cult. They've been classified as an international neo-Nazi extremist group. The shooter's writings mention the group and even stated he would write the founder's name on his gun. Back in January, you'll know the Antioch High School shooter killed one student and injured another before turning that gun on himself.
Knife attack in Germany today. Reports say a woman was arrested after knifing people at a busy railway station in Hamburg. Police said 3 of the victims were in a life-threatening condition. A 39-year-old woman arrested. At least 12 people injured. President Trump today.
We're signing tremendous executive orders today that really will make us the real power in this industry.
Yeah, it's 5 executive orders related to nuclear energy and science.
It's time for nuclear, and we're going to do it very big.
White House officials saying today's actions will, quote, usher in the American nuclear renaissance, which is music to Governor Bill Lee's ears. Governor Lee pushing to make Tennessee a hub for nuclear energy. And the Tennessee Valley Authority is the first utility in the nation to apply for a permit to build the first modular nuclear reactor. They are smaller in size, can be built more easily, faster, and cheaper than traditional. TVA hopes to build the reactor along the Clinch River in Oak Ridge. Money news on the heels of saying it's raising prices. Walmart is cutting 1,500 corporate tech-related jobs as part of a restructuring plan. News of the job cuts followed an announcement last week that Walmart will be raising prices to counter President Trump's tariffs. And entertainment news. 5-time Grammy Award winner Billy Joel has canceled all upcoming concerts. He's been diagnosed with a brain disorder. A statement posted to his Instagram says the disorder is known as normal pressure hydrocephalus, excess fluid in the brain that leads to problems with hearing, vision, and balance. His doctor says he's going to be undergoing physical therapy, and during that time, Joel will be following the advice of that doctor to not perform during this recovery period. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Goodlettsville, T-Dot reporting a crash 65 northbound just past Long Hollow Pike. In South Nashville, looks like the crash is being cleared according to T-Dot, 24 eastbound at Murfreesboro Pike. And then in Sylvan Park, police reporting a crash 440 eastbound just past Murphy Road. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hello, friends. My name is Matt Murphy, and this is the Matt Murphy Show, a Friday edition's in progress. It's May 23. Thank you for being around with us. It is the Friday before Memorial Day. We observe Memorial Day, and rightly so, and we'll talk about that coming up next hour on the show. I'm at Timms Ford Lake. We're celebrating out here. Let me tell you something. It is a beautiful lake, a beautiful facility, Twin Creeks Marina, absolutely gorgeous. And for the first time since I've been coming down, and this is probably my fourth or fifth visit down to Timms Ford Lake. For the first time, I've experienced their cabins, and let me tell you something. If you are thinking about something special for the family for a weekend getaway, Timms Ford Lake, cabin on the lake, ask Twin Creeks Marina about this. They can set you up. I believe that they are full up this weekend, so you're a little too late for Memorial Day weekend. But for the next holiday rolling around, whether it's 4th of July, Labor Day, whatever it might be, or just a weekend during the summer, you could do a heck of a lot worse than Timms Ford Lake and Twin Creeks Marina. Drafts and watercrafts down at the end of the dock, and we'll be eating there later on tonight, and looking forward to that, and looking forward to seeing you. Come on out and say hello to us. We're going to get to the penny, which I'm very excited about because the penny is officially going away. I could not be more excited about that. I've been preaching that one for the better part of 20 years. New video of Judge Hannah Dugan protecting an illegal alien by duping federal officials, getting them out of the way so she can protect said same. We'll get into that as well. You on the phones and you on the super text line as always, 615-737-9986, 615-737-9986. Jeremiah says, I bet Matt can't see any of these because he's not in the studio. Which lake did he go to? Just wondering if he went back to Timms Ford. I love Timms Ford. It's a great lake to relax at unless Matt messes it up by telling everybody. Well, that got a laugh. Hey, y'all should. There's a guy that's sitting down drinking a cold beer, and he giggled. Is that right? Should I not tell it? Every time I come down here, Ken Weaver, every time I come down here, people come by my table and say, would you shut up, pack up, and get out of here? Stop telling people about this jewel down in Winchester, Tennessee, for goodness sake. They don't want me down here, fellas. They don't want me down here. But I'm here. I can't help it. And I'm going to have a cold. Let me tell you something. I don't know what you're drinking over there, but I'm going to have a cold beer 7 o'clock tonight. What do you got over there?
Universal Sound,
Common John.
Oh, I freaking love Common John.
You got
Yes, sir.
Oh, Ken Weaver's like that fella in Django Unchained. Gentlemen, you had my curiosity, but now you have my interest. Common John. I'm going to try one of those.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Y'all come on down and say hello to us. And by the clock on the wall, I see it is 4:10. And by my little sheet here, that tells me that, if I'm not mistaken, it's Friday.
Good morning, Americans. It's Friday.
That's right, friends. It is time for our man, Jay St. Clair. I love that. I just got my loyal listener. I'm introducing Jay, and he brought me over a little thing. It was like the Jay will appreciate this. By the way, hello, Jay.
Hey, buddy.
How are you?
You know, man, if I were any better, I'd be bent over a craps table right now watching my best friend pass 5 times in a row.
Well, there were 5. There were 5 passes there. I will tell you more. I passed more times than I ever have on a craps table.
Yep.
You and me, Jay. We were there. We had a good weekend.
No, it was a great weekend, just all the way around. I miss seeing you, and it's just so good to spend time with you.
Oh, it was so much fun. My buddy's sitting here with me drinking that cold beer. He just brought me over it's one of those "Welcome to Tennessee" signs, and right underneath it says "Welcome to Tennessee. Please spay and neuter your leftist relatives." That's pretty good.
That boy, Ken.
That's a pretty good one.
Ken.
That's a pretty good one. Well, Jay, before we get away from it, thank you so much for being my friend, and thank you so much for the enjoyable weekend. It was a lot of fun. Now, I'm going to let you tell. I tried to tell my version of this story. Before we get into all of you with legal questions, get them in here, 615-737-9986. Get them on the super text line. Get on the phone lines. We can take your calls, and we will do so. But, Jay, while they line up those legal questions, I want you to give your version of the story of how we got ourselves a caddy on the golf course while playing golf.
8 o'clock Saturday morning, pretty early, and we're going down the first tee. And out of the corner of my eye, I see some motion out in the middle of the golf course, and I thought it was maybe a deer. It was pretty big, and it was at a good distance, We said, "Whoa, what was that?" And you said, "I think it was a dog." Oh, okay. And then so we go on a little bit, and sure enough, there's this what appears to be a free-range dog wandering the golf course. Although we later saw him following a guy in a cart who works there at the golf course, so I suspect it was bring your dog to work day. I think's what happened. And so we saw him for several holes, and he was going full speed. He looked like a pit bull, I think, or maybe a mix. And then he, one hole, he's kind of up around us, and we're over putting or whatever, and start walking over to the golf cart. He's sitting in the golf cart.
Just sitting there.
And that was not the first time he's done that, man.
No.
Because he knew it. He knew exactly where to sit. He took the middle seat, not shotgun. He was in the middle. And then we just took off right, and he said, "Okay, that's good." Because it was hot, and then he was panting. When you get up to hit a ball.
He stopped panting.
Stopped panting.
It's like somebody pulled out the "Quiet Please" sign.
Yeah, hush, y'all. That's what
right.
they do at the golf course down there. So he rode with us a couple of holes, and then he said, "Thanks, guys, enjoyed it," and off he went.
I was shocked. The most shocking part for me, the most shocking thing was when we got up to hit the ball, and you addressed the ball, and he was, and then stop. And then you hit the ball,
crazy.
and then you hit the ball, and then he started right back. I've never seen anything like it. And
it was great.
But the fact that he got in the golf cart, and I thought, well, we walk over here. When we get in, he'll get out. Nope. He was like, no, I'm riding with you fellers.
No, he knew it was shady in there. It was hot. It was a hot, steamy morning. He knew exactly what he was doing.
That's so good.
My guess is we probably was his Uber to the best nearby watering hole.
I think so.
And so, he's figured out how to take Ubers for free.
For nothing. He's living the life, though, man. He is living the life. Good for him.
He was a happy dog.
Well, Jay, I'm so happy to have you on because I made a prediction at the beginning of this radio show, and I hope you weren't listening because I don't want to put my thumb on the scale. But my prediction is that you don't like Harvard that much. That's my prediction. But before,
now, what would make you think that?
Well, in order to explain why this is my theory, I have a question for you, Jay.
Okay.
Jay, where did you go to law school?
Yale.
Jay, where did you go to law school?
Ken, that will always be fun.
Absolutely.
That's
always.
You and I, Hey, you know, we might be on our deathbeds, Jay. We might be the only people on planet Earth that still thinks that's funny. But I will always think that is funny.
Always be funny.
So Harvard's in a little bit of an interesting pickle. Now, there's a lot of lawyers over there at Harvard, so there's a lot of lawsuits that are going to come out of this thing. But without leading the witness in any form or fashion, I mean, now they're saying that, look, if y'all don't want to help us out, y'all take a lot of federal money over there at Harvard. You take a lot of government money. And you know what? You enjoy the benefit of the student visa program at Harvard, and if you don't want to abide by some of the rules, then we'll just pull your ability to have a student visa program. What are your thoughts, Jay?
Well, that's already been enjoined. The judge enjoined that right away, and it doesn't surprise me. There are times when you can paint with broad brushes, and there are times that you have to use a more precise instrument.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think this is a time I don't think the courts will let this kind of broad brush approach to student visas here. I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it's already been stayed. I think it'll be stayed until there's a final decision, because the government is going to have a really difficult time to prove irreparable harm. You know, a lot of I try not to get too technical when I'm on with you, but this is something I think everybody needs to know. The way these things are going, the president will do something. Well, then the liberals or whoever run to court and try to stop it immediately. I mean, like immediately, within 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
And they're really just asking to stop it while the lawsuit is going on. That's the way it works out. That's what they call temporary restraining orders. And then they grow into preliminary injunctions. But all we're really fighting about is what is the circumstances going to be while the lawsuit is pending. And that may take years, literally may take years.
Right.
And one of the key factors, one of the main factors is, well, can you win your lawsuit? You got to be able to show that you got a pretty good chance of winning. And then the second is there will be irreparable harm if you don't stop it. There's something will happen that can't be undone, that money can't make right. And, you know, here they're saying, well, 6,000 students are going to have to leave the country. And there's no way to make that whole.
Mm-hmm.
And so, there's harm there. There's no question about that. So now the government has to come in and say, well, but the harm to the government is going to be greater, Matt. And, you know, these aren't criminals. These aren't rapists. These aren't gang bangers. It's very different from this other group of people. And so that I don't think they can credibly claim public safety is going to be the irreparable harm. We're going to be leaving a lot of dangerous people in this country if we don't do this. So I think that it's going to get put on hold until this lawsuit is eventually decided. You know, there's a lot of facts and evidence that's got to come out that I don't know right now. But I would say this. I would say that it is a very heavy lift for the administration to pick out one university, even a crappy one like Harvard, and say that you can't have anybody come into your school on student visas. There's no case-by-case thing. We just don't like the way you run your school. Therefore, we're not going to issue any student visas to anybody that's going to Harvard. That's a very heavy lift. Frankly, I will be surprised if the government wins that way.
Well, and I thought, you know, I was open to the possibility of you saying that because I don't believe, Jay, that I think they're just using this as another way to get Harvard back into compliance with what they think Harvard ought to be doing, right?
It's the art of the deal, man.
Right, just something else on the negotiation table. Say, look,
it's exactly, and that's the way he does that. I told you back, when he ran first time, I didn't know anything about him. I really didn't like him. I read his book and came away with a much better understanding about it. And his style of negotiating is, there's nothing unique about it. But let's say that you have something I want, and you don't want to sell it. Well, then I say, well, man, I'll give you $1 million. Ooh,
It's a lot of money.
well, now I've got your attention. You start way out, and then you work your way back in. You hit China with tariffs of 150%, and then you settle at 20. That's his style of negotiating. You start way out here and you hit them with something really. Who was that great philosopher, Mike Tyson? Is that his name, Mike?
I think that's right. I think
Yeah,
you
Mike
got it.
Tyson. That great philosopher, Mike Tyson, said, "Everybody has a plan until you get punched in the nose."
Well, that's right.
So Trump begins his negotiations by punching the other guy in the nose.
Well, and he does, to use a different analogy, and it's really just another example of what you're saying. It's like you and I are neighbors, and you really don't like a tree that's in my yard that is that's coming over on your side, right? And you're like, Matt, you need to cut that tree down. I was like, well, I don't want to cut that tree down. And you're like, you need to cut that tree down. And I say, well, Jay, I have no interest in cutting my tree down. And you say, well, that's fine, but I'm thinking about putting up some floodlights. And I'm pretty sure these floodlights are going to be pointing directly toward your backyard. Right. And I'm like, hold on a second. Oh, you're putting up floodlights, right? Like you have no real interest, but you throw the floodlights out there. And I'm like, wait a minute, what are you talking about floodlights for? And you're like, well, I'm going to put up some floodlights.
I got to block that tree out.
Yeah, I got to block the tree out.
If that tree wasn't there, I wouldn't need the floodlights.
Yeah, but you know what? I might rethink those floodlights if you're willing to work with me on that tree deal. And you kind of you and I feel like that's what he does, and in some cases does very well. Is tries to and that's what he's trying to do with tariffs. It's a very similar in nature to what he's trying to do with tariffs.
No question about it.
So that's interesting that and I think you're right in this, and I don't think a lot of people will necessarily like hearing it, but it is a fact that some of these students at Harvard, they got nothing to do with any of this politics, right? They're just trying to go to school. They're just trying to go to school.
Except they are Harvard, but you're right. That's the only knock against them.
Right. Yeah, it's a pretty big one, but it's the only one. 23 after the hour, a lot of questions coming in via the super text line, which is good, and a lot of questions coming in via the phone lines, which is also good. We'll get to the first one of those, which is Harriet coming up, and Harriet's calling from Lebanon, and we'll do that next. It's 23 after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Friends, when I first became familiar with U.S. Pest, it was before I met J.K. Brister. It was before I met Erica Brister. Before I knew of the fine owners and the fine folks of U.S. Pest, I met Jesse. Jesse came to my home and knocked on my door and asked me if I was interested in pest protection from U.S. Pest. What a fine young man. Now, I was a renter of that home, and so we didn't do business at that point. But let me tell you something. I was so impressed with Jesse, I called up J.K. and told him about the wonderful employee he had. And I want to say that Jesse won an Eagle Award because J.K. gives those out at U.S. Pest to award his fine group of customer service representatives at U.S. Pest. U.S. Pest is simply the best when it comes to pest protection in this community. And let me tell you, if you're within the sound of my voice and you don't have protection, you're under threat. I mean, the bugs are going to come after you. The bugs are just insatiable. They want what's yours. They want the cool when it's hot. They want the hot when it's cool. And they want your food all the time. And they're little communists. They're going to take what's yours. Well, let me tell you this. J.K. and Erica Brister at U.S. Pest, they love the United States of America, and they hate bugs. Go to uspest.com. That's uspest.com or 590-1260. 590-1260 for U.S. Pest.
We've learned a teenager was killed after being hit by that train in Murfreesboro. This story and more coming up at 4:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I was just talking to Scotty over at Drafts and Watercrafts. We were talking about what he's going to make me to eat and drink later on tonight. He wants to make y'all something to eat and drink too. So come on out, say hello to Scotty, and he'll. What do you do? You do that those veggie infused Bloody Marys, right? Oh my goodness Christ! He takes vodka and he infuse. Jay, are you listening to this?
He takes vodka.
He takes vodka
it.
and infuses it with veggies and lets it sit there for weeks and weeks and weeks. And then it just gets all those onions and flavors in there and all the different types of veggie flavors in there. And then he makes Bloody Marys out of it, Jay. And it is incredible. Incredible. And I'm going to have one in your honor. Jay St. Clair is with us on Super Talk 99.7 WT, and it is Friday. We're real close, real tight against top of the hour. I think I have time. I don't have time for a call, but I think I have time for a quick question for Jay. Let's see. Jay has a little echo. I'm working on that echo, y'all, so don't worry about that. I understand that there's some feedback. There's an echo somewhere. I'm just going to make Kirby turn the PA off, and that'll solve that. And it's not Kirby's fault. I'm not blaming old Curb. I'm just telling you that I get it, and I apologize for it. By the way, Ann says, tell Jay I just wanted to say hi. I hope you will tell me hi back. And if you don't, my feelings are hurt. So,
well, hey, Ann. Happy
go.
Friday, Ann. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday, Ann. There you go. All right, more questions coming up. To include, is throwing a cigarette butt out of your truck window considered littering? That is an actual question from an actual listener, and I will ask an actual legal professional, Jay St. Clair, that question next. It is 4:30 on Super Talk.
.30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. We just learned more about the man hit by a train in Murfreesboro this afternoon. News 2 says it happened at the railroad crossing on Main and Overall Streets. 19-year-old climbed through the box cars of a stopped train and tossed his bicycle onto the tracks. When he reached down to pick up the bike, he was hit by a train that was coming from the opposite direction. Police say the teen's identity being withheld until next of kin can be contacted. The rail crossing there at Main and Overall Streets in Murfreesboro going to be closed until further notice for the investigation. Right now in Germany, reports say a 39-year-old woman was arrested as a suspect in a knife attack at a railway station in Hamburg today. 12 people injured. 3 of those people, according to police, have life-threatening injuries. President Trump threatening a 25% tariff on Apple. He wants the company to manufacture its iPhones in the U.S., but not just Apple.
It would be also Samsung and anybody that makes that product. Otherwise, it wouldn't be fair. So anybody that makes that product, and that'll start on, I guess, the end of June.
Trump was answering reporters' questions after signing executive orders to boost nuclear energy production. Got your Amazon refund yet? Reports say some Amazon shoppers will soon be getting long-awaited refunds due to issues with returns in the past. At least one customer's return apparently dated back to 2018. He posted on LinkedIn he got a refund of nearly $1,800 on May 20th for a TV set he had purchased in 2018. And it's a holiday weekend. Channel 4's Marius Payton with Memorial Day holiday travel news for Tennesseans.
If you're driving to your destination, just know that TDOT has suspended all construction and lane closures for the entire weekend. It ends at 6 on Tuesday morning. According to AAA, more than 950,000 Tennesseans will travel this weekend. Most of the people are driving to their destination.
Now, when it comes to flying, BNA not expecting record-breaking crowds, but if you're heading to the airport, they say make sure you have a real ID, a valid passport, or other state-issue ID. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Goodlettsville, TDOT reporting a crash 65 northbound past Long Hollow Pike. In Murfreesboro, got an accident moved to the right shoulder, 24 eastbound at Medical Center Parkway. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
You know, frankly, folks, if you've not made the call to cover Nash like I've been begging you to make, Shane Ring is ready for you. If you've not done it yet, just put it down somewhere. Write it down to call Shane. Book your appointment with Shane Ring. Now, he's not going to pressure you to moving your insurance somewhere that you don't need to move it, but he is going to inform you as to what you're paying, exactly how much you can save, exactly where you can go that will give you better coverage for less money. That's what Shane's in the business to do. He's in the business to help you, his customer. The insurance companies, they're not his customer because he shops the entire market. That's the way it goes with Shane Ring and Cover Nash. I've sat down in his office and I've learned so much about the outrageous, unnecessary costs that many of us pay and how easily that can be avoided by taking control of your health coverage. And it's never been easier. Go to CoverNash.com. CoverNash.com. Book your appointment today and create a health care plan managed by you, not by the government. Here's the number, 615-465-0023. 465-0023 for Cover Nash. Hey, friends, Matt Murphy for Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply, where you're invited to go where the pros go. And, folks, we've got another week or so of the big May sale for Toro at Dickens Turf and Landscape. I'm talking Toro Time Cutter, Toro Titan, Toro Z-Master, mowers. If you're looking for a mower, they're looking to make a deal. It's mowing season, you already know that, and it's time to get stocked up with Toro. Through the end of May, you can get up to $1,500 off your select Toro zero-turn mowers. Easy for me to say. Toro, you can count on it. You go where the pros go, and you get the best advice in the business. Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply, they know what they're talking about. Now, you never know. I mean, I'm not knocking it, but at some of these big box places, you don't know if these folks know lawns and landscaping and turf or not. At Dickens, they know what they know, and they know turf and they know landscaping. When you're looking for quality parts, products, and the best advice in the business, it's your one-stop shop. Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply. 7 locations. Find them all at DickensSupply.com. In the midst of a fun-filled session of Fry J with my best friend, legal correspondent, real estate consultant, and gambling buddy, Jay St. Clair. We knocked some real estate around. By the way, for the record, Jay won 1 up on Friday and 2-1 on Saturday. I think I got that right. I think that's right. Well, I mean, not 2-1 because you won the last hole, so it was 2 up. Yeah, you won 2 up.
With a birdie.
With a birdie,
Knocked
it stiff. Didn't have his 5-iron, y'all. He was worried about it, so he went with a 4. I remember every moment of that hole. Every moment of that hole as you dashed my hopes.
Yep. No, I've been playing better. I'm playing, now that I'm semi-retired, I'm playing 3 days a week, and I'm getting better.
You whooping up on me. I know that. Harriet comes to us next out of Lebanon. And, Harriet, I thank you for holding. You are on with our man, Jay St. Clair.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for taking the call.
Mm-hmm.
My question, Mr. St. Clair, is my daughter passed away at 57, left her home in her will to her daughter, who is only was 19 at the time. I'm 76, and I had to take a full-time job. Luckily, I found one to try to keep things up because my granddaughter was in college. My question is, there's something about putting the house in her name that is stopping me. I have the documents to do it, but someone said I should probably do it and put it in a trust and or what do you call the person that's the overseer of an estate or
the administrator of the estate.
I don't know kind of what to
executor of the estate. So it's in a will. Does she leave everything to her daughter?
Yes. She left the will. We got all that handled. I just think that she needs to put
did it go through probate?
Nope.
So that's, the first thing I do is get it in her name. And the only way you can do that
I've got the paperwork to do that. So the attorney here in Lebanon, bless his heart, we waited a year. There was nobody filed anything against it. And we just called in 2 people that knew my daughter's wishes.
Oh, okay. So that's really been through probate. Yeah, and so you're wanting to put it in a trust. And I can understand why.
Once it goes in her name.
Yeah, because I get that because 19-year-olds aren't really that financially responsible. Harriet, I think that's a great idea. I think how much is the house worth?
There's probably 200,000 equity.
And then what is there other money? How much total money did she inherit?
Really no money, just the house.
Yeah, just the house. Well, but for $200,000 for a 19-year-old, I think a trust is a good idea. And what I would do is talk to the same lawyer that talked to you about getting the house in her name and ask him if he handles trusts. And what that would do, she would be the sole beneficiary of the trust. But she can't just go blow that money. She can't go to Las Vegas and spend $200,000. She can't sell the house.
I worry more about her getting in some kind of a car accident where she's at fault and somebody sues her for the house.
Well, I don't know that I don't know that a trust helps you there. She just needs to make sure she carries good insurance.
Mm-hmm.
If your fear is that she's going to do something that ends up with her being sued, you just make sure she's got really good insurance.
Okay.
Is she
My
responsible?
last question.
Is she responsible enough to handle that at 19 years old here? Are you comfortable with that?
No.
Yeah, well, that's what's gnawing at me here. I would talk to the lawyer that helped you get the house in her name and say, look, I really think what's in everybody's best interest is let's put this in a trust. And it won't cost that much. It should just be a couple $1,000. And then that way she won't blow the money. She can't blow it.
I found a thing online where you can buy the blank paperwork. Would that be legal if I
Well,
downloaded it?
Yes, you could try to set your own trust area, but here's what I have to say about that. They are very technical, counterintuitive. It is real easy to do it wrong. And I just think that's one of those things where you're better off spending a couple of $1,000s and get a lawyer to draft it for you. But yes, you can do it online. You can.
Thank you for taking my call.
I wouldn't
of course,
do it.
Harry.
I wouldn't do it here.
Yeah. Thank you, Harriet, and great advice from Jay St. Clair. Our next caller is Greg, who is on the road with a question for Jay. Hello, Greg.
Hello, Jay.
Hi, Greg.
My question is, where does one go to get a detailed copy of one's criminal record?
Detailed copy of criminal record. Huh.
You know, probably the best way to do that, there's a couple of ways, but call companies that do background checks. That's probably going to be the most accurate way to do it. You can actually go online. You know, there's all these people online. I can go online right now and try to get my criminal record. You got to pay a fee for it, but they're not very accurate. So I don't think I would do that. I would go to a company that does that for a living, a background check company. And you can just Google it, and they're everywhere. They're good, reputable companies. You know, Fortune 500 companies use them to do background checks on applicants. And just tell them that you want to do a background check on yourself. And I guarantee you they'll pay your money, they'll take your money, and they'll do that for you. That's the best way to get it because it gets all jurisdictions. You could try to go do it yourself. But man, I mean, so you're just not set up to do that. You have to go to every court system in the country. Call a company that does background checks. Tell them you want a background check on yourself.
Okay. All right, Jay. Thank you.
Way to go, Greg.
My pleasure, Greg.
Thank you, Greg.
If we have the time, I know I'd rather take callers too, but I'm ready on that smoking question.
Well, I'm ready to ask, and we've got one more coming up. But the smoking question. Hold on, let me get back to my page.
Well, let's get. It's your show, but I love callers.
No. Well, we're setting one up right now, but we got a little bit of time before we get all of that set up. How is throwing? 0230 wants to know: is throwing a cigarette butt out of your truck window considered littering?
You know, I love my job. You know, I love my job, man. But one of the frustrating things about my job is I rarely do I get to hear the whole story. I don't know everything, even about even lawsuits that I handled for years.
Right.
I never really held. So we don't know the whole story here, and I'm dying to know. I have two guesses. One is this guy got a ticket for littering for throwing a cigarette butt out. That's probably the most common or the most likely thing. But here's the other one, and you will understand how I prove it. It's either that he got a ticket for throwing a cigarette butt out of his truck, or that his spouse hates that he smokes, or his, let's say, significant other hates that he smokes and hates that he throws the butts out the window. And every time he does it, she says to him,
"That's littering."
Oh, that's littering. You know,
You're
you get a ticket for that. And I'd say there's at least a 37% chance that this is why he's asking that question. So the answer is yes, that is littering. I'm guessing this is in Tennessee. I'm looking right now at Tennessee Code Section 39-14-501. And the definition of litter is garbage, refuse, rubbish, and all other waste materials, including tobacco products.
Wow.
They specifically, and frankly, I would say tobacco products includes a big old cut of beech nut.
Yeah, wad of chewing tobacco.
If you spit that out your window, that's littering. So, Ken, you need to keep you a little red daisy cup in your truck.
That's right.
Don't spit it out the window.
There you go. That's good stuff. How long? Jeremiah wants to know. How long can you I'm confused by the nature of the question. How long can you sue against a grocery store for civil rights violations? Okay, so this is a
my guess is a statute of limitations issue. He's probably asking how long
does he
I
have
to file a lawsuit against a store. You know, I'm trying to figure out what kind of lawsuit that. The sooner the better. It depends on exactly what kind of claim you would file, but probably 2 years. And so the sooner the better.
So, but there is a fairly short narrow window, ramp.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
But I have to know the exact claim to know the exact time period.
I got you. All right, let's see here. I believe we got Scott, who is in Hendersonville, and Scott has a question for Jay. Scott, you're on with Jay St. Clair.
Hey, Jay, quick question for you. If a person were to be like in their 60s or say even 70s and decide to do Ancestry.com or one of those, genetic things, and they found out that they had a grown offspring, that's 30, 40 years old, is there a statute of limitations on financial responsibility for that, like child support?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if they're 40 years old, you don't have to pay child support. Child support ends at majority, once they reach an adult. So, no, you don't have to. Your friend does not have to worry about that. If your friend finds out that he's got an adult child that he never knew about, he will not owe that child or anybody else any money.
I understand. Well, my buddy will be very relieved.
Hey,
good to talk to you, Scott.
Scott, thank you, and tell your buddy to listen to the Matt Murphy Show next time he's around. Okay?
You got it, brother.
All right, man. I appreciate it. I think we can get Garrett in here out of Murfreesboro. Garrett has some advice for us on the cigarette front. Garrett, what do you got?
Well, have you guys ever heard of field stripping a cigarette butt?
I have.
That is a military term. I was in the Army a long time ago, fall of '69, in basic training. And when we finished a cigarette, light them up, you got them, put them out. You had to take you took what's left of it, you tear the paper off and shred it finely. You spread the tobacco out all over the place. You take the filter and you take it apart into little pieces and you spread that around to where there's nothing left of the butt, and it's called field stripping a cigarette butt.
So the bad guys can't trail you.
Yeah.
They can't track you by your cigarette butts.
And so the drill sergeants won't make you drop and do 40.
Well,
so you don't litter. It doesn't have anything to do with the Viet Cong. It's not about the Viet Cong finding you. It's about your DI making you do 40 push-ups out in the rice paddy.
Right, and let me tell you, and I'm 76, and when you watch a movie when they're nose to nose with you, that is a real thing.
Wow.
I can't hear you.
And so just that guy needs to just field strip his cigarette butts and not worry about it.
Well, get his personal drill sergeant office behind.
Thank you, Garrett. I love that, Garrett.
Right.
Thank you.
All right.
Hey, Jay, I'll tell you this quick story. I don't know that I've ever told you this story, but when I was in college in the theater program, there was an older guy that was in the theater program with us by the name of Robert Roller. And Robert was a Vietnam War veteran. And he went back to school, specifically wanted to get into the theater department, and then we eventually found out that there was a lot of therapy going on for Robert, because Robert had been in combat and he had seen a lot of bad things. And we were smoking one day outside of the theater, and I saw Robert field stripping his cigarette. And I'd never seen that before. I just flicked
by
mine
habit.
out.
Just by habit.
General habit. And I said, Robert, what are you doing? And he paused, and he looked at me, and he said, cigarette butt saved my life one time. And I said, say again? And he said, cigarette butt saved my life. And this guy didn't talk very much. He told the story of being in the jungle, in the middle of the jungle, and walking through the jungle and coming up on 3 cigarette butts laying on the ground. And he said he looked up, and about 40 feet in the tree was Viet Cong asleep. With and he said if those cigarette butts and what happened next, y'all can kind of figure it out. But he said if those cigarette butts hadn't have been down there, he wouldn't have seen that guy in that tree. And if he'd have walked through that area, odds are he would have woken up and Robert Roller would not be there. And I was like, wow,
what an amazing story.
I mean, that's incredible. I said, well, you field strip away, brother, because I get it. I get it. Jay, sadly, we are out of time. I hope you have a good weekend, my friend.
Thank you, brother. Same to you. Be safe.
You know I love being with you on the weekends. You know I love talking to you on Fridays, and we'll do it again next week.
Thank you, brother.
All right, there's Jay St. Clair. That is our edition of Friday on this Friday, May 23rd. We'll be back in a moment, wrap up the hour. And coming up next hour, we'll talk about Memorial Day and the reason that we have the Monday off. We'll do that next on Super Talk. If you consider yourself pro-life, I've got a wake-up call for you. Despite the Roe v. Wade overturning, overall abortions increased to nearly 1% in the last year. That's just 1%, but that's a lot. That translates to a lot of additional babies' lives lost, totaling an estimated 1,038,100 unborn babies. Every one of those lives precious. The Ministry of Preborn is on the front lines, and they advocate through love and support of the mama. They understand and have learned that if they can provide mother with a free ultrasound, which costs you $28 per ultrasound, you can get 5 done for $140. If they can provide that once she hears her baby's heartbeat, the chances of that baby's life coming to fruition almost doubles. Last year alone, Preborn rescued over 67,000 babies. Please consider getting involved. Your monthly support of $28 makes this mission possible. Life is sacred. Life is eternal. To donate, please dial pound 250 and say the keyword baby, pound 250 baby, or visit preborn.com/Murphy. That's preborn.com/Murphy. You know, when it comes to large home repairs, a lot of times homeowners want to pretend that they don't see the warning signs. Do not let this happen to you when it comes to your home, particularly regarding the foundation of your home. The foundation's everything, right? And if you have a waterproofing issue, you have a foundation issue. Oftentimes, if you have a foundation issue, you have a waterproofing issue. These things work hand in hand. And USS works hand in hand with you to help protect you from these issues. Homeowners simply trust USS. Since 1994, all across Tennessee, they've been helping homeowners like you keep your home stable and dry. It's what it's all about. They guarantee their best at USS. They're not upselling you on anything. They're identifying problems, solving problems before they become much bigger problems. Let's get with USS and get peace of mind tonight. USSTN.com. That's USSTN.com, or call 615-488-7855, 488-7855 for our friends at USS.
A teenager hit and killed by a train in Middle Tennessee. The White House raising concern about chronic illness in children, and Amazon doling out refunds for returns years ago. These stories and more at 5 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We're coming to you from Twin Creeks Marina, right down from Drafts and Watercrafts. Proud to be here. Love to see you at Timms Ford Lake. I've learned over the years how to pronounce it. I will never be forgiven for mispronouncing it for the amount of time that I mispronounced. But that's okay. That's all right, too. If you missed that show, it was a good one. I just called it Tim Ford's Lake for about an hour and a half, and then people eventually got to me and told me they were going to throw me in the lake if I didn't start saying it properly, and now I got it. It's Timms Ford Lake. A lot of folks down here for the Memorial Day weekend, and obviously we would love to see you. More on that coming up in just a moment after the News Plus. Speaking of Memorial Day, we'll talk to you about the reason that we have a 3-day weekend this weekend. We observe Memorial Day. We'll do that next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Five o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. And right now in Middle Tennessee, News 2 says a 19-year-old man was hit and killed by a train at the Main Street at Overall Street crossing today in Murfreesboro. The preliminary investigation shows the teen climbed through the boxcars of a stop train, then tossed his bicycle onto the tracks. And when he reached down to pick up the bike, he was hit by another train coming from the opposite direction. They're not releasing his name until his family is notified. That crossing will be closed until further notice for the investigation there in Murfreesboro. The White House raising concerns today about chronic illness in children, releasing a new report blaming ultra-processed foods, chemicals in the environment, sedentary behavior, and an over-reliance on digital devices. It also suggests childhood vaccines need to be studied further. FDA Commissioner Dr. Marty McCary speaking with ABC News.
Microplastics and circadian rhythms and light and mood and sleep and devices and addiction to these devices and pesticides and the fact that 70% of the food that kids eat today is ultra processed. We never once talked about any of this stuff in medical school, and this report brings it to the forefront of our health conversation.
Yeah, this Make America Healthy Again report is saying more than 40% of children in the U.S. have at least one chronic disease, such as obesity, diabetes, behavioral issues, and allergies. And in Monday News, on the heels of saying it's raising prices, Walmart's cutting 1,500 corporate tech-related jobs as part of a restructuring plan. News of the job cuts followed an announcement last week that Walmart's raising prices to counter President Trump's tariffs. And if you're still waiting for that refund from Amazon, your wait may be over soon. The company's doling out refunds for returns from years ago. This decision comes amid a class action lawsuit filed over the issue. A judge declined to dismiss it last month. They say that they've identified returns where a refund was issued without the payment completing or where they could not verify that the correct item had been sent back, so no refund was issued. At least one Amazon customer's return apparently dated back to 2018 for an $1,800 TV. Entertainment news, Billy Joel canceling all scheduled concerts because of a brain disorder.
Billy Joel says in an online post he's dealing with what's called normal pressure hydrocephalus, and the recent concerts have made it even worse with his hearing, vision, and balance. That condition is when excess fluid accumulates in the brain.
He says, son, can you play me a memory?
Billy Joel saying he is undergoing physical therapy, and doctors have told him to stop performing during treatment. Ticket holders for his concerts will automatically be refunded their money. Alex Stone, EBC News.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, TDOT reporting a crash 65 northbound before Vietnam Veterans Boulevard. Watkins Park. Metro Police reporting a crash on the right shoulder 40 westbound after Charlotte Avenue. And then again, 65 northbound before Vietnam Veterans Boulevard. Just gave you that one. B&A got a crash with the off-ramp partially blocked. This is 40 eastbound to get to the airport off exit 216A. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is the Matt Murphy Show, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome in, one and all. For many of you, we have officially marked the start of your weekend at 5 o'clock. It's just after 5:07, and that means for many of you it's an extended weekend as it is the Memorial Day holiday. We do not say Happy Memorial Day. We do observe Memorial Day, and I've been one of those that has always said if we understand the reason why we have an extended time to spend with family and friends, it's perfectly acceptable to enjoy that time with family and friends and even to celebrate the beauty of the United States of America, the beginning of summer, because after all, there are many men and women that sacrificed everything, including their very lives, in order to give us those freedoms and those liberties. We're going to talk a little more about that sacrifice coming up in just a moment on Super Talk 99.7 WT, and after I remind you, we're down at Timms Ford Lake. I mean, I got people that have been around Winchester and Huntland for so long that they tell me they remember when Timms Ford Lake was just Timms Ford. It was just a little creek. But now it's a big old lake, and they know all the nooks and crannies around here, and they can tell you about it. So come on out and see us at Twin Creeks Marina. We're down from Drafts and Watercrafts, just having a good time, enjoying the scenery, enjoying all the pooches, a lot of four-leggers out, and a lot of two-leggers out as well. Would love to see you. Give us a call if you can't be here, 615-737-9986, 615-737-9986. As a matter of fact, let's get to Stephen, who's on the road. Don't want Stephen to have to wait very long. Hey, Stephen, how are you?
Oh, that's all right, man. I'll wait for you guys, man, always.
Appreciate you, brother.
Good. How are you?
Yes, sir. Doing well.
All right. Yeah. It's just ramping up, man, trying to figure out what I'm going to throw on the grill.
Well, you want some help? How about some alligator?
Oh, man, that'd be something new.
I mean, I'm just throwing it out there, man.
Got to go deep in the swamp for that sucker.
I agree with Kirby. Instead of alligator, maybe let's downshift to some brats. Big beer-battered
Right
brat guy, man, but just don't. If you go brats, Stephen, I don't know how much of a grill master you are, but here's my one piece of advice to you. Don't poke.
Level 3 out of 10.
Don't poke the brat. Never
Gotcha.
poke the brat. Let them just soak in them juices in that casing.
Oh, man.
All right.
I know what you mean.
What's on your mind there, Stephen?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, I don't know if you guys have heard anything about what's came out of this investigation on Comey, on the seashells by the seashore that was found there.
Mm-hmm.
But, I'm just wondering, man, because it kind of, it's like you were the director of the FBI, all right? And so if it wasn't you or if it's not somebody that you knew that you planned to do that with, you're just randomly walking down a beach or it's somebody that follows you around or somebody that knows you. The instant you see that, it seems like you would have been a little paranoid instead of, I'm with my wife and,
Well, Comey, he originally said, he was being cute. He did that, right? And he's now admitted that he did it. And he said that there was nothing, nefarious about it or nothing that he didn't intend it to mean any sort of danger toward Donald. James Comey knows exactly what he's doing. He's playing.
So he put the shells there?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He did it.
Oh, they got it out of him. Okay. All right.
Oh, yeah. He's now admitted that it was. He took it down because he was, being funny. He didn't mean anything by it. He didn't find that. He did that.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I was wondering if he didn't do that, then they're going to have to be able to find out who did. But so he came forth, I guess. So
he did.
All right. Yeah. Sorry about the confusion.
But you know what he also said, Stephen. He also said that he had never known 86 to mean kill.
I'm sure.
He thought of 86 as meaning just to get rid of, or to move beyond, and what he's being.
Gotcha.
James Comey is the smarmiest SOB out there, and I cannot wait until he gets his comeuppance.
So it was just a plan it was just some media for some book sales, so he could get himself out there and sell his book.
100%. Yeah, he's got a book coming out.
All right.
100%. That's what it was.
That was it.
And
happy
frankly,
Memorial Day.
Thank you for that, Stephen. I appreciate that, and have a blessed Memorial Day as well. you might notice that a lot of times, and it is not by happenstance. I mean, we see all of these stories. I see all of these stories. And I don't know how, and I don't tell anybody else how to do their business. I love the team that we have here at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We each have a slightly different approach as to how we do things, whether it's Dan Mandis, Nashville's Morning News, Chris Hand, Chad Benson, of course, me, Matt Murphy, maybe Brian Wilson filling in, some of the other players like Cameron Smith. You heard Des Dickerson in for Chad today. We all have different approaches, and it is a part of the live and local feel of Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's why I am so blessed to work at this radio station, so blessed to do what we do on a daily basis. And we all do it a little differently. And I'm not here to tell anybody else how to do their business. But you might notice on some of these stories, I don't talk about them. I have not brought up the James Comey story. There's a reason that I've not brought up the James Comey story. Because, and this, once again, I'm not knocking other people discussing it. I'm telling you that after 25 years of doing this, I know when someone is poking the bear for a purpose. James Comey poked the media and poked the political right because he knew that we would give him the coverage that he wanted to get to sell his book. Well, what I say is screw James Comey and screw his book. And I'm not going to give James Comey – I'm not knocking Stephen for calling either, but I'm not giving James Comey free advertising for his stupid book on the off chance that somebody might be listening to Matt Murphy and decide to go out and buy it and put money in James Comey's pocket. James Comey has nothing to say that I am interested in hearing except guilty, Your Honor. That is the only thing that I want to hear coming out of James Comey's mouth. And that is my take on it. I do want to talk to you for a minute about Arlington National Cemetery and my experience at Arlington National Cemetery. We have this discussion every year, and I choose, if you do this long enough, you find that you tell similar stories or you make note of special occasions or holidays by readdressing or going back to or revisiting memories in your life that are poignant that might strike a chord with the listening audience. And over the years, in the aftermath of spending, I guess about 10 years in a row spending time at Arlington National Cemetery, I've come to these memories and I've come to these stories on Memorial Day fairly often. And I have told the story of the waiting girl in the past. And it's a story that I revisit on Memorial Day to illustrate the sacrifices that so many have made, not just of the men and the women that don the uniform and put themselves at risk for a greater purpose, but also the people that they are around and the people that are impacted when they are no longer with us. I have never written this story down. Many of you perhaps have heard it if you are longtime listeners of mine, either in Birmingham or in Nashville. So it changes every year because I just open up the conversation and tell you the story of my experience at Arlington National Cemetery. And every year I find that I tell it in a slightly different way. And so you kind of never hear the same story twice because I've never I choose not to write it down, but just to relate it to you as the Spirit moves me year to year. If you've never been to Arlington National Cemetery, I would strongly encourage you to go. It is an absolutely gut-wrenchingly emotional place in a lot of different ways. Those emotions are not all negative. Obviously, there are many positive emotions to be taken from the amount of sacrifice that you see at Arlington National Cemetery. And for those of you that have been, maybe many of you have been more times than I, perhaps you've only been one or two times, then you will certainly relate to this. For those of you that have never been, I hope that anything that I might say here this afternoon might encourage you to go. Because it truly does exemplify in so many different ways the spirit of the United States of America. When you walk on the hallowed grounds of Arlington National Cemetery with over 4,000 crosses at that cemetery, 4,000 souls buried for eternity on that cemetery grounds, it is the first thing that I was struck by the first time that I stepped foot on those grounds is how beautiful it is, how incredibly gorgeous Arlington is. It is not merely the fact that they manicure the grounds, that they keep the grounds in a pristine fashion. It is the stately trees, some of which have been there for hundreds and hundreds of years. No matter where you are, if you're almost any place on the property, you can catch Robert E. Lee's ancestral home, the Arlington that the cemetery was named after. You can, at any moment, catch glimpses of children running about Arlington National Cemetery in tour groups. You can hear laughter. You can see the beauty of Washington, D.C. in the distance, the Potomac River, the Washington Monument, of course, the Lincoln Memorial, and the grandeur of the United States Capitol way off in the fashion sacrificed themselves for the United States of America, whether it was through service to their country and perhaps they lived to a ripe old age and they chose to be buried or interred in the columbarium, or in some cases they lost their lives in service to their country. I first visited Arlington in 2008. I took my grandmother-in-law there with my wife to visit her final resting place. My grandfather-in-law, Lieutenant Colonel George Holy, was interred in the columbarium at Arlington National Cemetery in 2008, and his wife, Natalie, wanted to visit him. Natalie could not see. She was blind, but she wanted to visit him and say hello to her husband and learn where she would spend her eternity. We went in 2008, and you receive a special dispensation in the aftermath of a funeral in which you can drive on the grounds. Typically, you're not allowed to drive on the grounds. And we visited there. I dropped Natalie and Erica off, and I had to find a place to park the vehicle. And as I was returning to the columbarium, I turned a corner, and I happened upon a military funeral. Obviously, I stopped. I did not want to interrupt the funeral, but I found myself at a point in the funeral where there were 7 guns offering a volley of 3, a 21-gun salute in honor of that individual that was being buried that day after service to his or her country. I don't know who that person was, but it was an incredibly poignant and emotional time. I stood there and listened as taps was played as the sun slowly set to the west over the many, many graves of Arlington National Cemetery. In the years that followed, I went back almost on an annual basis. We had a yearly junket to Washington, D.C. through work, and I always made a trip, mostly through the metro, the Arlington line, the blue line, stops at Arlington. And one year I went at request of my wife to take photos. Natalie had passed away. It was 3 years later in 2011, and she had passed away, and my wife had not been able to get there to visit her grandmother, and so she asked that I go and take some photos of the new piece of marble that not only had Lieutenant Colonel George Holy's name on it, but also his wife Natalie's name on it. And as I was walking into the cemetery, it's a huge piece of property. It's a huge piece of ground. And as I was walking through the cemetery, way, way in the distance, these huge blocks are presented, and everything's symmetrical. The graves are symmetrical, and they're just huge pieces of property. Each block represents so many different soldiers, so many different graves, so many different life stories. And I'm way in the distance, and I see the columbarium even further still, and off in the distance, in the center of one of these blocks of graves, I see the waiting girl. And she's sitting in the middle of a row of graves, probably 20 or 30 graves deep. And she has before her spread a blanket. And as I'm walking toward her, I begin to notice some of the things that she has on the blanket. She has a little picnic basket on the blanket. And there is something I couldn't really see because she was fair enough in the distance that I couldn't get my eyes on it, but it looked like it might be a radio of some sort there. And she sat on the blanket, and she wasn't crying. She wasn't laughing. She wasn't smiling. She wasn't sad. She was waiting. She was just sitting there as if waiting for her special someone to come along to sit on the blanket with her to have a picnic in a field. It saddened me because I felt like she was of a certain age that I knew that she was the wife of someone that had fallen. I walked on to the columbarium and spent a little time there with George and Natalie. And before you know it, about an hour had passed, and I spent some time walking back. And I walked in a similar fashion, a similar direction, trying to make my way back to the entrance to Arlington National Cemetery. And about 2 hours had passed. And I walked back to the block of graves. And 2 hours later, I look up, and there's Waiting Girl, sitting on the same blanket in the same position with the same expression on her face. And it broke me because I realized that she was waiting for something that would never come. She was waiting to see her husband again. And she couldn't because her husband had given the ultimate sacrifice to us. And everything in my being, I wanted to go and say thank you to her, and I wanted to thank her for her sacrifice in addition to her husband's sacrifice, but I never would have done that because I did not want to disturb her. I think of her often, and I wonder where she is. This is probably 15 years ago now. Well, I guess it was 2011, so 14 years ago now. I wonder if she found peace. I wonder if she found another life. I wonder if she had children with her husband before he lost his life. I wonder if she found another husband and moved on and found some joy in life. I'll never know the answer to those questions, but I will always know her as the waiting girl, waiting for a husband, a father, a lover, a spouse that will never come home, because that person gave the ultimate sacrifice to the blessings of freedom and liberty that we enjoy on a day-to-day basis in this country. And that is what Memorial Day means to me. She is what Memorial Day means to me. And I hope that you spend a moment, enjoy your family, enjoy your friends, embrace your loved ones, and have a great time over the course of the Memorial Day holiday. But I hope, and I know, that at some point you'll think of Waiting Girl and think of all of the other people who have sacrificed so much to make sure that we remain free. It's 26 after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy for Tennessee Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center. Let's talk about Brian McLaughlin for a moment and what he does for this community. They've got two locations. One's in Murfreesboro and the other location right there in Brentwood, right? So Dr. McLaughlin has taken over for Dr. Stephen Poss, who for so many years created fabricated oral appliances, FDA-approved appliances, clinically proven appliances that can help you sleep better. If you have sleep apnea, you don't need to live like that. If you have sleep apnea, it can cause you significant health concerns. Let's get rid of it. Now, if your wife or significant other have told you that you snore a lot, it's possible that you have the apnea, and you need to solve that as well. Friends, go to TennesseeSleep.com and request an appointment today at either office, and you will sleep better when you get this appliance. I promise you that. I am a customer in addition to an endorser to this product. I absolutely love it. I sleep with it, and you can as well. TennesseeSleep.com. They are approved community care provider to the VA. They help veterans sleep and live better as well. TennesseeSleep.com for the Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center.
.5:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Right now in Murfreesboro, a railroad crossing is closed indefinitely. Got an investigation going where someone was hit by a train. It's the Main and Overall Streets crossing where police say a 19-year-old man climbed through the boxcars of a stop train and tossed his bicycle onto the tracks. However, when he reached down to pick up the bike, he was hit by the train that was coming from the opposite direction and killed. The crossing will be closed until further notice for the investigation. And police say burglars are targeting homes in Brentwood. Security cameras caught a group of masked people on the walking trail behind the Witherspoon neighborhood Monday night. Police say a few hours later, a family arrived home and learned they had been robbed. Neighbors telling Channel 4 they're installing alarms and cameras.
It scared me to see the picture of those people. You couldn't tell who they were, and it makes me fear that the police are not going to be able to find them.
Yeah, police say they're increasing patrols in the area. Money news, if you're still waiting for that refund from Amazon, your wait may be over soon. The company doling out refunds for returns from years ago. This decision comes amid a class action lawsuit filed over the issue. A judge declined to dismiss it last month. Amazon says that they had identified returns where a refund was issued without the payment completing or where they could not verify that the correct item had been sent back, so no refund was issued. They said they've fix that issue. And at least one customer's return, apparently dated back to 2018, was for an $1,800 TV that he had bought in 2018. And a Carnival cruise ship has rescued 4 people and their dogs in the South Pacific.
The Carnival Splendor was on an 8-day cruise sailing in the South Pacific when the Maritime Rescue Coordination Center notified the ship of a catamaran putting out a distress call. The Carnival Splendor headed that way and 5 hours later got to 4 people and 3 dogs stranded on a disabled catamaran. The 2 couples and 3 dogs were given food, water, and medical help on the Carnival ship. On board, they were seen smiling after being rescued. Alex Stone, EBC News.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Madison, TDOT says a stalled vehicle is blocking the center lane, 65 northbound before Old Hickory Boulevard. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy. And, you know, when I find a new company, a good company, I love telling you about them. And I have found one with Alpha and Omega. It's Alpha and Omega Computer Consultants. Michael and his team have been around for quite a bit now. Since 1998, they have been in the managed services industry, protecting you from evolving threats. They help you with compliance for all industry, business continuity, and fast local help desk support when it comes to IT and cybersecurity service. Here's the deal, folks. You have to have IT in your world if you're a business owner now. You have to have cybersecurity in your world if you're a business owner right now. But if you're a business owner, if you own, you know, whatever business you might own, you're not an IT specialist. You're a business guy. You're not an IT specialist. You're trying to sell products or you're trying to sell goods and services. So who do you go to that has that specialty in their mind and in their heart? That's Alpha and Omega Computer Consultants. 70% of cyber attacks target small to medium-sized businesses. You need to know that when it comes to your business, because they're targeting you right now, whether you know it or not. Their response time is second to none. They'll get it done. They'll come out, and they will tackle whatever issue you might have. But here's the deal. When they're on the job, there will be no issues. Alpha and Omega. Call them today at 615-784-0096, 784-0096. Tell Michael and his team I told you to call, or go online to A&O, that's the letter A and the letter O, A&O.net, A&O.net. Grace Point Healthcare is affordable, convenient, and comprehensive medicine. They are your go-to source for primary care in Middle Tennessee, and I want to tell you about them. They're a direct pay provider. Why is that important? Because all of your treatment decisions should be made between you and your doctor, not you and your doctor and your pharmacist and your insurance company. Why are all those people in the room? You and your doctor need to make these types of decisions, and you do at Grace Point Healthcare. Once again, you understand what you are paying when you go to Grace Point. Not so at some of the other guys, because all you know is your copay, and you don't know how much these services are costing you. They have the basic Smart Care plan. For just $69 a month, you get unlimited office visits for the entire year at Grace Point Healthcare Plus. That includes free basic labs and diagnostic testing. No long wait times at Grace Point. They don't believe in them. Matter of fact, most times you call same day you can get in, or certainly by the next day. Plus, they treat naturally whenever possible. They are a military veteran-owned practice, which I absolutely love, and we thank them for their service to their country and their service to their community. Grace Point Healthcare. You can afford exceptional medicine at your convenience. 599-6868. 599-6868. Grace Point Healthcare. Modern medicine delivered the old-fashioned way. Indeed, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is a fun Friday edition of the Matt Murphy Show. Thank you for being with us. We're at Twin Creeks Marina, just on the dock here, right down from Drafts and Watercrafts. Timms Ford Lake. A lot of folks coming by and saying hello, and we appreciate each and every one of you. And thank you for saying hey to us as you stop by, if you're able. We appreciate you on the phones. We appreciate you on the Super Text line. A lot of folks responding. Look. It is a poignant and very special observance Memorial Day, and I just don't want us to forget that. It is also a very special time of the day for the Matt Murphy Show. You know, sometimes I forget, but I'm batting about 600 this week. It's 40 after the hour. It's time for Nincompoops in the News, as far as I'm concerned. What do y'all think?
Nincompoops in the news.
I got a good one. And, you know, I have decided Ken Weaver's over there in News Closet B. Hello, Mr. Weaver.
How's it going?
How's it going, my friend?
I'm doing good.
Good. There's Chris Weber. He's in the studio, controlling all the knobs, making sure that everything that comes out of our speaker sounds as good as humanly possible. Hello, Mr. Weber.
Howdy.
Happy Friday, man.
Yes,
y'all doing all right? Y'all got big plans, by the way? Anything going on?
Yes.
Yeah. You, Ken, you're outie, right? You're out of town.
I'm out of town, man.
Oh, that's right. You're going to be next to that big old racetrack.
That's
with
right.
The race going on.
Going to make a stop in Charlotte at the in-laws. They live a mile from Charlotte Motor Speedway, but like I said, man, once those engines start roaring, it's like it's in your backyard.
Look,
I freaking love it.
Let me tell you, Sunday, for a guy that I love racing I love motorsports, right? Yeah. Motorcycle, open wheel, NASCAR, the whole gambit. And Sunday is like the Super Bowl for motorsports racing fans.
Yes,
because you've got the F1 boys. I think it's going in the morning. You've got obviously Indianapolis going right at noon, and then the Coca-Cola 600 later on that day. That's that all day. Watching those cars go round in circles. Just go to the end of the street, take a left. Go to the end of the street, take a left. Go to the end of the street, take a left. That's it. That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do.
Yeah.
All right, man. It is time. We have not forgotten today. That's a pretty dog. That's a good-looking dog. So who wants to go for? I'm going last. That's how sure I am that I have a story that is so good and that y'all don't have that it's just going to blow your mind. So I'm going last today. Who wants to go first?
You go ahead, Brother Chris.
All right, I'll go first. I got a Florida man for us today.
Yes, sir.
He's facing some charges after he did something he probably shouldn't have done. Happened around 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a Saturday. Deputies say 39-year-old Richard Christopher Smith of Miami, Florida, stole several items, including several alcoholic beverages, and walked out of the Spring Lake Market. Well, shortly before deputies arrived, they said Smith was in a black minivan driving circles around the store. He then sped off, which launched a pursuit that went on for several miles. During the pursuit, Deputies said that Smith held a can of Kettle One vodka spritz out the window as he drove by a deputy, trying to get him to stop, telling the deputy, "I'm just trying to give you a drink, that's it."
As you do.
He then attempted to ram 2 patrol vehicles in the midst of getting all 4 tires flattened by spike strips. The pursuit ended in the parking lot of a business near the Sebring Airport. Smith was eventually tased and charged with 2 counts of aggravated assault on law enforcement officers, battery on a law enforcement officer, 2 counts of resisting arrest, DUI, refusal to submit to a DUI test, and petty theft. You got the full Florida man gambit. Only thing missing is he was fully clothed, apparently.
Rats.
So,
Can't
have it all.
Made me think of Uneasy Rider. Couldn't help but just chase him once around the parking lot.
Trying to offer him a drink out the window.
I'm just trying to give you a drink.
Hey, man. I'm just trying.
Come on, 5-0.
Holding that Kettle One vodka out. Come on, cop. I'm just trying to help you out, brother.
Kettle One vodka.
That's awesome. Mr. Ken Weaver.
All right, this comes from where you boys ran around for a while in your lives, the state of Georgia, Marietta to be exact. A man has been arrested after police say he grabbed several women's behinds while at a grocery store.
Come on.
They also say he was not wearing any pants.
You just made Kirby spit out his Pepsi-Cola. It came out of his nose.
Jenny Mappin was quoted as saying, "I was definitely shocked. I was definitely angry." Mappin says she was just picking up a few things at the Kroger there on Powers Ferry Road in Marietta, that is, when she heard a commotion and saw several employees trying to usher a man out of the store. She says the man who was naked from the waist down came toward her. "I was wearing a jacket and he lifted up my jacket and touched my butt."
Ooh. Don't look, Ethel.
I was just like, what just happened? Cobb County Police showed up and witnesses pointed out the man who was later identified as 35-year-old Raekwon Mose. Police say he had been in the store earlier and inappropriately touched a woman, then came back later in the day. He returned and touched 3 adult females on the buttocks while still not clothed from the waist down. I believe he was wearing a hooded sweatshirt but no pants. No underwear, so obviously that was a concern, said Cobb County Police Sergeant Eric Smith.
Obviously, that was a concern.
Police say Mose tried to make a run for it, but police caught up with him. Women who live in the area and shop there at the Kroger on Powers Road were in disbelief. Samantha Tishamanga says, "He had no underwear and no pants on? That's completely disturbing." "I would have been terrified. I think it's horrible," said Angela Thiem, who shops in the area. Mose went to jail charged with 4 counts of sexual battery and willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer.
Where did you get this story? What news outlet?
Fox 5 Atlanta.
I'm just imagining some assignment editor. Ken, you know how this goes.
Oh,
hey,
yes.
Go get us some shopper reaction.
Absolutely.
Go talk to some of these shoppers. Find out what they think about this naked fella in the store.
Absolutely.
I was absolutely shocked.
Yeah, here's Serena Ashford, who says, "I'm glad they got him and detained him because that's just ridiculous."
Another man was interviewed, and all he said was,
"Oh, yeah. Did you see what happened?" "Yeah, I did."
I like how he was wearing a hoodie, but
Yeah.
no pants and underwear.
A hoodie, but
he didn't
no
want to be
pants.
too conspicuous.
And Chris, I'd like to believe that the hoodie was up, right? You'd like
oh, yeah,
to believe
it's
that.
on his head, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
of course.
Well,
yeah,
and then I like how Police Sergeant Eric Smith says it was a concern.
it was I'm going to go ahead and tell you. I'm going to be honest with you. It was a concern.
Yeah.
When we got the report. And it wasn't enough that he was sashaying around with no drawers on. He had to touch women on the quote-unquote buttocks.
Yeah, the buttocks.
Yeah.
Buttocks.
I like how they feel like they have to use buttocks.
That's cop speak.
That is such criminal report
Yes.
speak, right? You never get touched on the butt in a
No.
criminal report.
No, it's the buttocks.
It's the
That
buttocks.
makes it official, yeah.
That's right. That's both cheeks. All right, I don't have this one won, but at least my story involves a MAGA hat and a Florida woman, a Florida woman. A Florida woman is facing multiple charges stemming from her alleged attack on a 72-year-old man who was wearing a Make America Great Again hat earlier this week.
Mm-hmm.
Laura Garrett, 33, was arrested by the Largo Police Department Tuesday for battery on a person older than 65. I didn't know that was a thing, by the way. Side story, I didn't realize, but apparently that's a thing.
Yeah.
That you get, there's a specialty charge for people over the age.
Yeah.
So battery on a police officer and obstructing or resisting an officer without violence, according to the Pinellas County Jail records. Garrett admitted that she approached the man, who has not been publicly identified, at the Northeast Park and Paw Palace. The Park and Paw – no, I'm sorry, I'm saying this wrong. Although they should have named it the Park and Paw Palace. It's the Park and Paw Place. I'm assuming this is a dog park, but anyway. The Northeast Park and Paw Place to ask him about President Donald Trump and why he supports him and why he was wearing that hat, according to the arrest affidavit. By the way, I just so happen to have a mugshot photo of the woman in question, Ms. Garrett, who decided to walk across a park to ask a man why the hell he was wearing his hat. She has blue hair.
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There we
Bright blue hair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And looks maybe like she's, let's just be honest, looks a little methy.
Yeah.
Y'all know what I'm saying.
A little methy.
A little methy. Well, as you might expect, she challenged the gentleman as to why he was wearing the hat, and the gentleman spoke back to her, and the two then got in an argument at some point during the confrontation before Garrett poured a can of what she was holding on the victim's head. Then she hit him in the back of the head and shoulder area with the can, according to the arrest report. And before you ask, no, I don't know what was in the can. Garrett denied that she hit him with the can, but did admit that she poured some stuff on him. Police say that she then jumped the fence and walked away after the attack on the man. She was later located by police officers whom, surprise, surprise, she allegedly fought off while they were attempting to arrest her. The arrest report states that Garrett intentionally dropped to the ground when officers put her in handcuffs.
Oh.
And that when an officer tried to pick her up to escort her to the front of the park, she wrapped both of her legs around him, around his legs, causing him to trip and fall.
Uh-oh.
The officer's knee was bruised during the incident, and that prompted a second battery charge on the woman.
Yes, sir.
That's what happened. So imagine, if you will, she drops to the ground, won't get up, like a 5-year-old in a toy store, kicking and screaming.
Yep.
And then the officer tries to get her, and she wraps her legs around his legs and won't let go.
Goodness.
Garrett was booked into the Pinellas County Jail Tuesday evening and was released later on that night, according to jail records. And obviously she has a scheduled appearance in court. So there you go. So
just a little methy.
All over looks a little methy. All over a hat. And you would think there's enough of those around, and you would think that at some point the liberals in this world would recognize that, about 81 million people made an effort to vote for the man.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So we're around. I don't think it should be any surprise that we're around. So there you go. That's how you play nincompoops in the news. You can vote for Ken Weaver. You can vote for Chris Ryan. You can vote for Matt Murphy if you want to. Vote on the super text line, and we'll tally them up and let you know how it goes. 51 after the hour. We've got another full hour to go, and this one's not even done yet. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hello, friends. Matt Murphy for Savory Spice. The location, Franklin, Tennessee. Just off the square. If you see the Gray's Pharmacy sign, you'll see Savory Spice right beside it. When you go in, you'll smell the smells of the incredible spices even before you walk through the front door. I mean, that's how aromatic Savory Spice truly is. And they've got all sorts. They've got the best in the business. If you need to restock your spice rack, you need to do it at Savory Spice. If you're looking to up the food, there comes a point, I tell this story all the time, there comes a point where you're not buying the cheapest of anything anymore, right? You're buying the better cut of meat to put on the grill. You're buying better veggies at the farmer's market or whatnot. Well, if you're putting the same old nasty spices from, that discount grocery store on that cut of meat, you're doing it wrong. You need to go to Savory Spice because you don't have to pay more to get a better quality of seasoning for your steak, for your salmon, for your chops, whatever you're cooking. Savory Spice has something to make it better. Plus, if you don't know how you're doing it, if you don't know what you're doing in the kitchen, they can help you out with their Spice and Easy line of products as well. Savory Spice, locally owned and operated by Holly and David. I invite you to go out and see them. Say hello. Tell them I sent you to Savory Spice. They're in Franklin, just off the square. Tell them I sent you to the one and only Savory Spice. How do you keep your important valuables secure from theft or from fire? It's not just Davidson County in the Metro Nashville area. Everyone in the state of Tennessee, you are at risk from theft or from fire. Now, I wouldn't suggest that this might happen to you. I would never want it to happen to you, but are you protecting yourself? Do you hide your valuables in a box, or do you secure them with a quality safe from Nashville Safe House? Purchase one of those quality safes from Nashville Safe House. They have almost 200 on the showroom floor and another 400 or so back in their warehouse. They have the right safe for you at Nashville Safe House. Why do they keep so many? Because they don't want you to walk out of the door unsatisfied that you've not found the exact safe for you and your family. Whether it's a fire rating, whether it's a price point, maybe it's a brand name. They've got them all. Browning, Fort Knox, Champion, Superior, Rhino. It goes on and on. Plus, they have vault doors. They have storm shelters as well. Go and see them. They're the largest Browning safe dealer in the United States of America, and that means the world. And by the way, gun safes are now and always sales tax free at Nashville Safe House. Go to NashvilleSafeHouse.com or stop by and see them on 4th Avenue South and tell them I sent you to Nashville Safe House.
A man is killed, hit by a train in Murfreesboro, and new documents show that a cult leader may have influenced the Antioch High School shooting. We'll tell you about it coming up at 6 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. I am busy tallying votes. I love these types of votes, man. 6442 says, well, I only heard all of Matt's, so I guess I vote for Matt.
I'm going to go Brother Murphy.
That's a cheap vote.
It is. It's a cheap vote.
But I guess it
counts.
Yeah,
it counts.
All right.
And then there's Dawn that writes in .33333333333 for each of you.
All right.
They were all good.
Okay.
And look, 7258 said, I vote Matt. At least old Methany had pants on. Oh, Methany. He called her Methany. Methany. Not Bethany, Methany. We need to study the side effects of blue hair dye on the brain. I would agree with that.
Why
I
is
vote
it
for
always
Ken
blue?
Yeah, blue or purple.
Yeah.
You know, I don't tell this story very often. My sister, she's a liberal, y'all.
Yeah.
And I can't help it. And I've tried to help it. But she is a liberal. I used to have a segment back in my Birmingham days called My Sister the Liberal. And I would have her on, but she'd piss so many people off, I stopped doing it. I mean, I'm telling you all the truth. I had a theme song for her and everything. So, yeah, I mean, she's so liberal. But she does that. She's a 50, I'm 51. Oh, she's an almost 54-year-old woman, paints her hair pink.
Interesting.
And I just don't get it.
I don't understand it either.
I don't. I mean, you know, whatever gets through the night, I suppose.
Yes, sir.
So Ken's getting a lot of votes here. Chris is getting his fair share. We're going to tally them all up and figure it out for you. I almost went with the story about the ex-con who had spent nearly 20 years behind bars, has now been arrested for allegedly using a drone to drop contraband into a Florida prison yard.
Oh, yeah.
It's a pretty good one. I might share that with you in the 6 o'clock hour. We're going to talk about the beautiful penny. It's going away. It's great. We love the penny, but it's got to go. Costs too much money. And I'm going to suggest to you that we need to be getting rid of I'm going to take an informal vote around here on the dock as to whether or not we should get rid of the nickel, too. We're going to do that next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Six o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Looks to be kind of a soggy holiday weekend. We'll tell you about it during the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Right now in Middle Tennessee, a railroad crossing in Murfreesboro is closed after someone was hit by a train today. It's the main and overall streets railroad crossing, and police said it was going to be closed until further notice for the investigation. Police say a 19-year-old man climbed through the boxcars of a stopped train, then tossed his bicycle onto the tracks. However, when he reached down to pick up the bike, he was reportedly hit by a train coming from the opposite direction and was killed. Channel 4's Lydia Fielder with a new development possibly connected to the Antioch High School shooting.
Today, new documents show the Antioch school shooter was inspired by an accused neo-Nazi cult leader. The group's leader has been charged and is tied to allegedly soliciting violent crimes across the U.S. The U.S. Attorney's Office believes the 17-year-old shooter was inspired by a group known as Maniac Murder Cult. They've been classified as an international neo-Nazi extremist group. The shooter's writings mentioned the group and even stated he would write the founder's name on his gun. Back in January, you'll know the Antioch High School shooter killed one student and injured another before turning that gun on himself.
Knife attack in Germany today. Reports say a woman arrested after a knife attack at a busy railway station in Hamburg. Police say 3 of the victims were in life-threatening condition. 3 others in critical condition. A 39-year-old woman arrested. At least 12 people injured in that knife attack. President Trump today.
We're signing tremendous executive orders today that really will make us the real power in this industry.
Yeah, I signed 5 executive orders relating to nuclear energy and science.
It's time for nuclear, and we're going to do it very big.
White House officials saying today's actions will, quote, usher in the American nuclear renaissance, which is music to Governor Bill Lee's ears. Governor Lee pushing to make Tennessee a hub for nuclear energy. And Tennessee Valley Authority is the first utility in the nation to apply for a permit to build the first modular nuclear reactor. Modulars are smaller in size. They can be built more easily, faster, cheaper than traditional. TVA hopes to build the reactor along the Clinch River in Oak Ridge. On the heels of saying it's raising prices, Walmart's going to cut 1,500 corporate tech-related jobs as part of a restructuring plan. News of the job cuts followed an announcement last week that Walmart's raising prices to counter President Trump's tariffs. And entertainment news. Five-time Grammy Award winner Billy Joel has canceled all upcoming concerts. He's been diagnosed with a brain disorder. A statement on his Instagram says it is known as normal pressure hydrocephalus, excess fluid in the brain that leads to problems with hearing, vision, and balance. He's going to be undergoing physical therapy and will be following the advice of his doctor to not perform during this recovery period. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Right now, TDOT reporting a crash partially blocking the off-ramp from 40 eastbound to the airport over there, exit 216A. We've also got a crash reported by police in Madison, Gallatin Pike at Old Hickory Boulevard. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, here's a great opportunity for you to get in. Last hour of the week. We're not here on Monday. We are off in observation of Memorial Day, so it's our last chance to talk to one another until the following Tuesday. And we'd love to hear from you right now. 615-737-9986. It is a First Amendment Freestyle Friday on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Ken Weaver is dragging himself into the lead on my tally of nincompoops in the news. To include votes like this one. TB writes, I cast a vote for everyone except for Matt just out of principle. That's not very nice. That's not very nice. Although 0727 says, I vote for Matt. She was just messing around.
That's a good one.
That's pretty good.
That's good.
Ken wins again. Day number 167 of Ken always winning. A lot of sympathy vote for Matt. I vote for Ken. Hard choice today, but I think I'm going with Chris.
Yeah.
Buddy Weber.
I love
Look at there. But I believe, if my tally is correct, men, that I am sad to report, Chris. It's Ken again.
This game's rigged.
I tell you. You know what it is? By the way, I just had a woman by the name of Kathy walk up, and she said, are y'all, I listen to y'all every day. I was like, oh, thank you. We appreciate that. She introduced me to her dog. She lives in Franklin. They got a place down here. And she said, now, remind me of who you are. And I said, I'm Matt Murphy. She goes, oh, yeah. And she said, and who is that? And she pointed to Kirby. And I said, well, that's Kirby. He's our technical producer, on-site producer. And she said, that fellow that says Super Talk in here? That's what she said. And I said, no, ma'am, that's Ken Weaver, and he's back in the newsroom.
Super Talk.
And she said, I love the way he says Super Talk. And I said, well, I'm going to tell him you said that. We love all of y'all, whether you can get down here or not. Thank y'all for stopping by and saying hello to us. I love getting out and about and seeing folks. We'll get to more of your telephone calls coming up. As a matter of fact, let's go ahead and talk to Robert, who is in Warren County. Robert, thank you for your call. Welcome in. Happy Friday.
Hey, guy, you down there on that big old lake and you're not catching no fish?
Let me tell you something. There's some big old fish around this big old lake, too. You know what they do, Robert? I don't know if you've ever been down here at Twin Creeks. They've got little gumball machines set up, and they put fish food in the gumball machines. And it's fascinating. And Kirby and I have talked about this. The turtles and the carp and the koi, they know where the gumball machines are. They absolutely know. And they hang out there. And the turtles and the carp fight with the koi over who gets the fish,
Well, I like them big old 35-pound rockfish that get under them bridges at night with the light and minnows. That's what I'd like to pull out of that.
No question. I've never enjoyed fishing. I don't have the patience for it, Robert, but I will go drink on a boat.
You sound like you're drinking right now.
Not yet. No. I learned my lesson. Last time we were here, Scotty from Drafts and Watercrafts, Robert, he brought me what he called a milkshake. And so I said, "Oh, well, isn't that nice of him?" He brought me a milkshake.
Like a spiked punch, huh?
Mm-hmm. Have you ever heard of a bushwhacker, Robert?
Well, I'm a bushwhacker.
Well, that's what he brought me. And I learned not to have one of those during the show anymore.
Well, okay, that's probably a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I have friends who are veterans, and some of which have nightmares at night from being in Vietnam, being snipers and so forth, and some with Purple Hearts and so forth. And the terminology of sacrificing your life is sort of disrespected by them, because there's hardly any war person who goes into the military who is actually going in there to sacrifice their lives. They go in there and their lives are taken. But sacrificial lives are only given by Jesus Christ, mostly. And these guys that go into the Army who are killed or blown all to pieces or come home without any legs, it wasn't that they were sacrificing their lives. They went into the military because they were either drafted or chose to, and the sacrificial thing is a little off-key.
Well, Robert, I mean, I suppose I understand that, but, I mean, I think the word perfectly fits for what young men do for their country.
It's not for the country. What matters is to sacrifice his life. He has wife and children at home, and he's going to sacrifice his life for this country, wife and children.
Robert,
really?
Let me ask you.
Yes.
Why are we arguing about this?
I'm wondering why you're saying sacrifice.
Well, I choose to say it, Robert. It's a free country. I mean, why are we arguing about the semantics over this word? Why are you so angry about it?
It's not a sacrifice. It's not sacrifice life. Life's not sacrificed. Simply.
I'm sorry?
Clearly.
Why are you so?
These lives are not sacrificed.
Why are you so angry over this?
I'm not angry. It's
you
just
sound
a
angry.
Terminology. No one goes into the military saying, with a wife and children at home, I'm going to sacrifice my life for this country. It's simply their lives were taken for this country because our government is the ones who are sacrificing lives.
Wait, so our government sacrifices?
Yes, all these young boys go to the military, and it's our government who thinks that their terminology of free America, we got to sacrifice all these boys for our idea in government.
Once again, Robert,
we got to protect America, so we're going to sacrifice these boys in all these foreign countries, 4,000 over there in the sands, after the 4,000 that died in New York. It's a sacrificial decision by our government.
Well, so it's okay for you to use the word, but I'm not allowed to. I got it.
No, it's a word.
Robert, that's what you say. You're getting very angry about it, and I don't want you to be angry.
I'm not angry about it. I just want it to be clarified.
You sound angry, Robert.
Well, I am angry when people keep saying
I am sad. I am sad.
I am sad. Sacrifice their life.
I am sad that I have sacrificed this amount of my life talking about this with you, because I don't think it. I think it totally misses the point that I was trying to make, and you seem to be intentionally missing my point.
No one sacrificed their life for this country. Their life was taken and given for this country.
Robert, you have said. Robert,
all these men after 4,000 died in New York.
Robert.
Yes.
Robert.
Yes, go ahead.
Robert.
Go ahead.
You have said that now 6 times.
Well, good. I hope you'll get it.
Robert, I heard you the first time. I don't have to agree with a damn thing that you say.
I can understand that you're
Are you here?
And you're,
are you? I'm trying to be as patient as possible with you.
Okay, I heard your curse word, so that means patience, right?
I mean, do you listen to the show often, Robert?
Yes, I do.
You probably hear me curse a lot, then, don't you?
Well, I mean, that's not appropriate on the radio. Just saying.
Well, I know. I mean, it's a failure.
I know,
it's a failure.
You don't want to. I know. You don't want to change. Okay. Go ahead.
No, it's my failure. Robert, I'll do anything you want me to do to make you happy. What can I do to make you happy?
I don't want to be happy. I want you to be truthful to American people.
You don't want to be happy?
Their life for this country. Jesus Christ sacrificed his life for all of us, not the government sacrificing young men's life and women's lives for this country. That's the sacrifice the government sacrificed. You don't understand that? Don't make sense? That don't make sense?
Hey, Robert, are you done yelling? I just don't want to interrupt you yelling.
Well, please, I'm glad you're not interrupting. I mean, normally you have a hard time not interrupting. Go ahead.
Have you bothered to look up the definition of the word?
I know what the definition of the word is.
Tell me.
Jesus Christ.
That's it? That's all you got?
Well, who was the first sacrifice, sir?
Is that all you got?
Well, go back to Abraham and his Isaac. He sacrificed on the altar, was going to sacrifice on the altar. That's the first sacrifice.
Cain and Abel.
No, not that far
It was a
back.
brother killing a brother.
Now, Abraham and his son Isaac on the altar. That's the first sacrifice.
Okay. All right.
Go ahead. Go.
I mean, I'm glad that you got a lot out of my story about the woman that was sitting in front of her husband's grave at Arlington National Cemetery.
I understand. I hate that.
I'm glad that you got a lot out of that story. I'm glad you got a lot out of that story.
That happened. Those things happen because of our government so far.
And you don't seem to care.
I do care. I know men right now who are having nightmares every single night because their sacrifice in Vietnam, being snipers and so forth, sent out into the jungle with a picture of a person they had to take out, and now they're laying in a bed every single night with nightmares of the job that they've done in Vietnam.
So you said they sacrificed?
They did sacrifice their lives because they're laying in a bed at night right now with nightmares because of the job that they were given in Vietnam.
Well, here's the definition of sacrifice. You ready?
Sure, I'm ready. Please enlighten me.
The act of giving up something valued for the sake of something else regarded as more important or worthy.
Exactly.
Oh, is that exactly?
Uh-huh.
You agree with that definition?
If you want to look at Jesus Christ and take that as
well,
a
and you tell me that you're telling me that it's not appropriate for me to say that a man in uniform did not sacrifice his life for the greater good of the United States of America in combat. That's not okay.
Why don't you ask him and his family if he give his life for his family in America?
Okay, I will.
Ask him. Ask his family. Ask these vets. Ask everybody.
Why I don't understand, Robert. Why
I go into
Robert?
the military?
Why are you so upset?
My life.
Why are you so upset?
I mean, just listen a minute. Did I go into the military to sacrifice my life for my family and my children and my America?
No, you don't go in. You go into it.
Was taken.
Robert, in order to have a conversation, I'm trying to listen to you, and I would appreciate you trying to listen to me too. I'm trying to respond to what you just said. You just asked a question. I don't believe that any individual goes into the United States military for the purpose of dying, but they go into the United States.
What are you saying then?
They go into the. Are you done?
Go ahead.
Yeah, you're done. Get rid of him. Bye. I do my best. Robert seems to take great exception with the use of the term sacrifice when it comes to men and women who gave their lives in service to their country. I understand that Jesus Christ was the ultimate sacrifice. He died on a cross for all of our sins. Robert, if you're taking exception with me using that term because of your religious faith, I fully understand that. I just don't understand why you're so angry. And I was trying to get to that, and I don't think we're going to be able to do that. I think it's probably a deep-seated issue, more deep-seated issue that involves a conversation that isn't on a radio show. It's 20 minutes after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Oh, I'm so excited about next Saturday. Not tomorrow, but next Saturday. It is the big open house event at the Glock store. It's the 5th annual, and it's going to be bigger and better than ever. So I'll be there from 10 until 2. Y'all come by. If you've never been to the Glock store, you got to go. It is huge. I mean, the retail space is huge. The shooting rooms are huge. You can shoot full auto over at the Glock store. That is available to you. And they're giving away multiple Glocks to include the ultimate prize, which is an incredible customized Glock. It is the Trump Glock that will be given away at the end of the day at the Glock store. Look, I've done this full auto deal, and it is so much fun, and you will absolutely love it. And you have the opportunity to do it. I think it's like $35 next Saturday to go full auto downrange in one of their shooting rooms. Don't forget to come by and say hello to me. As I say, I will be there, but I'm the least of the reasons that you want to come by. They've got great deals on Burrow bullets. That's a local bullet manufacturer in Murfreesboro. They got a Burrow Bullets blowout, which is very difficult to say, plus deals galore, raffles galore. It's all at the 5th annual open house at the one and only Glock store next Saturday. It is 25 after 6. We've got about 35 more minutes before we hand off to Mark Levin and call it a Memorial Day weekend. We thank you for being out there. 615-737-9986. I give those phone numbers despite the fact that the phone lines are absolutely jam-packed and full with thoughts on our conversation with Robert. Robert, I do sincerely hope that you have a good weekend. I hope that you find some happiness this weekend. I hope you don't sacrifice the entire weekend fuming over our conversation. 615-737-9986. Larry is next up in Clarksville. Hello, Larry.
How you doing, Brother Matt?
I'm great, Larry. Thank you for calling.
Well, I do not understand what Robert's issue is. Nobody signs up. I mean, I only did 6 years. Nobody signs up to go to dive. But you sign up with the agreement if that is what it takes to defend our country. That's what you do.
You know, it's well said, Larry, that you don't sign. I mean, I don't presume to be able to speak on this subject because I never served, and I'm very, very careful about presuming that I understand the mental approach. But you did serve, Larry. And I would expect, and I just to rephrase what you just said, you don't sign up with the idea that you're going to die, but you sign up and you agree that you are willing to, if needed.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's what it's all about.
And I don't understand what the heck Robert was arguing about.
I don't either. I mean, there's something about the word, and he doesn't like it, and I think it has something to do with faith, and I was trying to figure it out, but I just didn't understand why that equated to so much anger about the use of the term. But you know what? I sincerely do wish Robert a great weekend and hope that he finds a little peace and maybe some joy in his life. I really do.
Well, and I hope he does as well. But, you know, at the same time, Matt, you are appreciated for what you do every dang day.
Wow, thank you, Larry.
You are a blessing to Nashville. I'm glad we got you here. I'm glad you don't live in Nashville.
That makes two of us, buddy.
And if I ever hit the lottery, man, I'll buy you a place wherever you want it, as long as you stay on the radio.
Right now, I'm angling for Tim's Ford Lake, man. Let me tell you, the people down here are as happy as can be.
Well,
I love it down here.
If it wasn't for my dogs, I'd buy a damn place on Tim's Ford.
Hey,
and a nice boat.
By the way, speaking of that, I'm thinking about you this weekend, buddy. I don't mean to turn it to a negative place.
I know, man. I'm having a tough time.
Well, I know. Well, I know how losing those four-leggers affects us. You know I know. And for those that don't know, Larry lost one, and I'm thinking about you, buddy.
Thank you, Matt.
All right.
You'll make me tear up.
Get off the phone before you start blubbering. See you, Larry. Take it easy. I appreciate you up there in Clarksville. I do appreciate you. Larry let me know that he lost one recently, and that's tough. That's tough. Tim is in Culleoka. What is up, Tim?
How are you, sir?
Man, I'm great, Tim. Hope you are.
I want to address Robert as well, and I served during Saudi Arabia, Iraq, and Kuwait during Desert Storm, Desert Shield, and I wanted him to know that he is completely wrong. And we knew the sacrifice that we were making when we signed that dotted line. And I would do it all over again to protect my kids and my family.
Heck yeah, brother. God bless you, man. I love it. How many years were you in? Tim, you there? Did I lose him? Dadgummit, I think I lost him. That's too bad. Well, Tim, thank you for your service. I do appreciate you very, very much this weekend and every weekend. We'll get to as many as we possibly can, but we have to get to Ken Weaver in the newsroom right now. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. All right, friends, it's time to talk about intimacy in your private lives. I understand that you don't want the guy on the radio talking to you about bedroom activity. I get that. But I also understand men's behavior. I know that men try to whistle past this graveyard and pretend that certain things aren't happening that might be happening that are maybe preventing you from performing in the way that you would like. And look, that's all I'm going to say about it. I'm just going to tell you, you need to get to Tennessee Men's Clinic to solve this issue because they've got programs and plans that can solve the issue. Guys, you know what I'm talking about, and there's no shame in this game. Half the men that are listening to me right now will see a reduction in their testosterone over the course of their 40s and 50s and 60s. And with that reduction in testosterone becomes a lack of motivation, drive, desire, or ability. And if that is happening to you, go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com, TennesseeMen'sClinic.com, or better yet, give them a call, schedule an appointment, and let's solve this issue and get back to life again with that significant other. Call 615-208-9090, 208-9090 for our friends at the Tennessee Men's Clinic. Super Talk 99.7 WTN winding down a lively Friday edition of the Matt Murphy Show. Man, oh man, I would love to believe that all these folks are at Tim's Ford Lake to see me. I don't believe that's true. I think there's a lot of people that are here to eat some delicious food at Drafts and Watercrafts. There's a lot of people that are here to listen to some of the fine music, to enjoy the Memorial Day holiday that is this weekend, to spend some time with their family and friends, and maybe one or two. And there's a bunch of four-leggers out here. Absolutely love seeing all these dogs. I love you on the phones, too, and I thank you for giving us a call. And we're going to wrap things up with some rapid-fire conversation with you. Let us see. I believe George is next. George, thank you for your call, sir. How are you?
I'm fine, sir. How are you?
I'm great, George.
Yeah. I think you handled Robert there very well. I was calling to talk about that. I'm an Army veteran myself, and he's absolutely wrong. I would actually go as far to say that he's disrespecting the sacrifice of his brothers and sisters that have laid their life on the line by saying that they didn't sacrifice. But it's I think a lot of his anger has to do with his Vietnam era.
Yeah.
And they didn't really have a choice, and they didn't treat them very nicely when they came back. So I think that might be why he's so mad. And I know you don't need my affirmation, but I mean, you handled that well, and I agree wholeheartedly with the other two veterans that spoke before me.
Man, George, now you've got some good wisdom, and thank you. One, thank you for your service. I appreciate you. Number two, I think you might have just hit on a big part of this because the men that came home from Vietnam were treated so badly. And I was not around then. I mean, well, I was around. I was not old enough to understand what was going on. But those that were remind us that just how shabbily the men that came back home, and maybe that's a part of it. I think you might be onto something there.
Yes, sir. I'm
Well,
a big fan of the show. You're doing a great
thank you, brother.
job.
Thank
and, you guys keep it up.
All right, my friend, have a great weekend, and we appreciate that service. Carrie is next. Carrie, thank you for your call.
Hey, Matt. I appreciate you taking my call, and I, too, want to thank you for how you handled Robert. And I didn't hear all of the call, so the caller just before me explained to me that apparently Robert did serve. And I want to do a shout-out to Robert. I want to thank him for his service, especially if he served in Vietnam. I do want to thank Robert for his sacrifice, and I do apologize for the way he was treated after he came home. That was so unfair. And I wish that could be taken back and that he was honored because he did what he was told to do, and he was treated wrong, as all the men were. So but I do appreciate his sacrifice because he, along with all of our men that have served in all capacities of our wars, have made, men and women, have made a terrific sacrifice, them and their families. And the families that have been left behind have made a terrific sacrifice that have been left behind in wars and have lost their loved ones. I don't want to forget them, too. They are suffering. And I appreciate every last one of you guys, families and everyone, for my freedom in America, freedom. I appreciate all of you guys, and I love all of y'all. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I mean, obviously, Carrie, thank you. I hear the passion in your voice, and God bless you, and I appreciate you and appreciate your call. I thank you for taking the time to share your thoughts. It was, obviously not enough time to dive fully into this, but, some are speculating on the super text line that maybe, where the anger comes from. Well, if you served in that period in time, then, most often you did not choose to serve. You were conscripted to serve. I mean, you were drafted, right? I mean, we had a compulsory draft during the Vietnam War, as all of us well know. And with that in mind, then, that kind of changes the dynamics of the language that we use. And if I am compelled to serve, if I'm forced to serve, then is it then a sacrifice if I lose my life? I can understand that. I mean, I'm saying we're kind of picking at nits when we get down into the weeds to that level. But that is understandable. I don't know that that's where Robert was coming from, but I could fully understand that. It is certainly a different dynamic when you talk about the era in time serving in Vietnam. 2739 is thinking the same thing that I thought, and I thought maybe I misheard him. I don't know that Robert said that he served in Vietnam. I think he said that he had friends that served in Vietnam. But regardless, one way or the other, Robert, if you did serve, we appreciate your service. And if not, unless you get mad at me for saying that, in which case I don't say it. I won't say it if you get mad at me for saying it. I will say this. We've got a couple of other folks on the line, like Patricia. She's next. Hey, Patricia, how are you?
Oh, hi, Matthew. I'd like to just say that the waiting lady was a beautiful, heartfelt story. And I want to thank you for sharing it with us, because I felt your pain. I felt your love in doing so. You had me in tears here, and I felt the same way as the things you said. My heart was with you all the way. Thank you, Matthew, and God bless you.
Well, thank you, Patricia. I'll tell you, that story is not an easy one for me to get through, no matter how many times that I tell it. I really only tell it once a year on the Friday before Memorial Day. And the reason that it drives me to tears every time I tell the story is because it is a level of unimaginable pain that I can't process. And seeing her sitting there, and it's hard to describe even as I sit here so many years later, that she's sitting there. She's not there in obvious emotional turmoil. She seemed to simply be I'll say this. It was almost not that she was waiting for a return of her husband. She was waiting for an explanation as to why. And it was just it's just an explanation that's never going to come for her. And it's an explanation that is never going to come for anyone that loses a loved one in sacrifice to service to their country. And that's what she's waiting for. She's not waiting for peace, at least from my perception. She's not waiting for peace. She's not waiting for anything other than an explanation as to why it has to be the way that it is. And I don't know that she ever gets that. Linda is next up on the road. Linda, thank you for your call.
Hey, Matt, I listen to you all the time on my way home from work. I live in Lynchburg. My son was in the military. He served 5 years. Unfortunately, he was allergic to the uniforms. He was in the NIC program. He was an officer in the military. He commissioned. And he was actually on the Iwo Jima when the 13 died a couple years ago. And one of those, the female that died, was on his ship. So I'm wondering if Robert would think that would be a sacrifice, that she lost her life to protect her country. I believe that my son sacrificed his life going into the military. Because when you go into the military, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if you're going to go into war. You don't know what's going to happen. So even the ones that do not pass, they sacrifice their lives because we don't know if they're coming home. I didn't get to talk to my son for 10 months when he went in. And so, to me, that was a sacrifice as a mom, And so Robert was wrong. He was wrong. And I appreciate if Robert was in the military for his service. But to anybody that goes in, they're sacrificing their lives. That's just my opinion. I think that was pretty crass of him, too.
Well, thank you for your perspective, and thank you for your call, and do have a great weekend, Linda, and thank you for the sacrifices that you made in addition to the sacrifices that your loved ones made. I appreciate you. Thank you. Look, who knows what you try to have a sense of empathy for people like Robert. You try to understand them. I don't understand him, but I'm trying to be better. I'm trying to be better. I'm trying to be more sensitive to it because I don't know what this guy's gone through. I know that Shane's on the line, and Shane's probably going to wrap it up for this segment and maybe even the show. Hey, Shane, what's going on, brother?
Hey, man, I just wanted to call in, say that this Memorial Day weekend I'll be thinking of my father who served in Korea and my 4 uncles that all served in World War II.
Oh, wow.
And I was thinking back when I was a kid and they were interviewing on television some of the Vietnam War guys coming home and how badly they were treated. And I remember one guy said that when the World War II guys come home, they give them a parade, and we didn't get any parade. And I remember my dad looking at me and said, I didn't get a parade either. I just come home and went back to work.
Well, I mean, no, the guys from World War. I mean, I understand the Vietnam War guys. They got so wronged in the aftermath of all of that. Shane, thank you for the call, and thank you for your family's service to this country. I appreciate you so much. Yeah, the Vietnam guys got screwed. Just the nature of how all of that went down, how all of it fractured, I wasn't around, but I know enough about history to understand it. You're right. The World War II fellows, they came back home. They did get a parade, and then 2 days later they were back after it in the factories and in the mills and in the mines, getting after it and doing the job. I'll say this on the Vietnam War front. My most intimate experience regarding the Vietnam War, my mother, I've told the story often about her, and she had a malignant brain tumor that was removed, and she was given a 25% chance to live 2 to 5 years, and she lived 25 years. In the aftermath of her surgery, a few years after her surgery, she had relearned to walk, relearned to drive a car, and had functions going on in her life, and she remarried, and I had a stepfather, and sadly he was not a very good guy, and it doesn't matter to an 8-year-old why you're getting whipped for no reason, beaten for no reason, but we were, my brother and I, Lane took it out on us, and he was pretty brutal, he was vicious, and eventually my grandparents extracted us from that situation, and my mother divorced Lane, and we moved on with our lives. Well, when my mother died in 2003, I went through a lot of her stuff, and she had a couple of items that were obviously Lane's. Lane was a Vietnam War veteran, and he had a couple of pillows that he had gotten, very small little decorative pillows from Vietnam. And I don't know what compelled me to do it, but I'd had no communication with Lane since I was a child. But I picked up the phone. I was 03. This is 22 years ago. So I was maybe 31, something like that, 32. And I called Lane and told him that I had something that I thought he might want, and asked him if he wanted me to bring it to him. I didn't tell him what it was. And he said yes, and I drove out to see him. It's probably 6 months after my mother had passed, and he told me a couple of things. One, he told me that he had gone to Mama's funeral, but that he didn't think any of us would want to see him, and so he stayed hidden in the back, or stayed in the back and left. Before got there a little after everybody got there and left before anybody knew about it, and then he broke down, and he apologized to me, and I didn't ask him to. He said that he was sorry for the way that he treated us, and I said, that's okay, Lane. He said, no, it's not okay. And he said, it's not an excuse, but I just need you to know that I was pretty effed up after my experience in Vietnam. And I could never have understood that as a child, but as an adult, I certainly did. And that's what having empathy for other people is all about, understanding that they go through things that you can't possibly fathom. And sometimes those things manifest themselves in seemingly evil ways. But if you understood the backstory, boy, you start to understand why some of that pain comes out by unfortunately hurting others. And Lane and I made our peace that day, and I don't know what compelled me to take him back his pillows, but I'm so glad that I did. It's 52, almost 53 after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy for our good friends at Preborn. If you consider yourself pro-life, I've got a wake-up call for you. The battle's not over. The fight's not over, folks, because Roe v. Wade, while that's a great thing that it was overturned, abortions increased the year after Roe v. Wade. Did you know that? That's what it looks like. It translates to thousands and thousands of additional abortions on an annual basis. We need to put a stop to it, and you don't do that through wagging your finger. You do that through love. The Ministry of Preborns is on the front line. They're advocating for beautiful souls who never had a chance to grow up. Preborn's networks of clinics are strategically located around the country in the highest abortion areas, ready to support women who are about to make the ultimate life decision. Free ultrasound can change that decision-making process, and it's done through love. Your monthly support of $28 makes the mission possible. Life is sacred and it's eternal, and I invite you to visit Preborn's website. Go to preborn/Murphy. That's preborn.com, I should say, /Murphy. Preborn.com/Murphy, and give as you can today. A $28 donation is a free ultrasound for a life in peril. Pound 250 baby. That's pound 250 baby, and visit preborn.com/Murphy today.
Weather can change in an instant, and you need to be prepared for any outcome. That's why Generator Supercenter of Nashville will help keep your family safe and connected. We make buying a backup generator simple and easy, with financing options available, free in-home estimate, turnkey installations, no worry warranty, and most importantly, the monitoring and service of your fully installed generator. Come see us at our location in Nashville or visit us online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Matt Murphy, a final minute to say thank you so much and to say goodbye for the weekend. Once again, we remind you, not live Monday. We are observing Memorial Day along with a large portion of the United States of America. But I want to spend the last minute that we have to thank not only our military men and women in service to our country. We certainly do thank you. But for everyone that makes our weekends special, especially these Memorial Day weekends, I'm talking about the police officers, the firefighters, the EMTs, the doctors, the nurses, the support personnel, and even the restaurateurs and those that have to get after it throughout the course of the weekend, every weekend, so that we have gas in our cars and we got snacks in our belly when we stop at the convenience stores and whatnot. We thank each and every one of you. Thank you to Twin Creeks Marina. Thank you to Drafts and Watercrafts. We appreciate Jeff, Scotty, and the rest of the crew, and we thank you. Have a great Memorial Day. We'll see you on Tuesday.